Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by sourcevibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight we have a great show planned for you. We are continuing with our series, The Real Pilgrams, the true story of immigrants coming to America. This is our third show. So we're going to pick up where we left off. If you haven't joined us, if this is your first time joining us, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the first two shows. The point of references, the main point of reference for this series are two books. The first one is White Trash, The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. And the second one is They Were White and They Were Slaves, The Untold History of the Enslavement of Whites in Early America by Michael A. Hoffman. So with that said, I am going to bring on my co-hosts. I see them both, Brother Sean and Sis Sandra. Hold on a second. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Boldness and power, sis. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
All right. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Peace and love, sis, and Brother Sean and the family. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
Okay.
And how
are you? To hear your voice.
Thank you. Good to hear yours, too.
Boldness and power, sis.
Thank you. Same to you, brother.
Okay, sis. So I have to open up by asking you, how's it going? And Callie, how are you doing?
Woo. Well, Cali is still on the map. I'm surprised they're trying to burn it up. I don't really kind of understand why they try to burn it up. It'll be made clear later. They have several fires going all over the place. The one up in Sonoma Valley County is very large, and ones down south, I haven't even looked at the news today, but they were still burning. I've been here a long time because I came over here as a child, and I've seen the Santa Monica Mountains burn, but I've never seen such widespread destruction. So many fires in so many places at one time. And, they make it kind of impossible to get out the state. They act like we're going to burn with it. So, because they do it near freeways. Now, I don't see too many power lines near freeways. They run alongside a freeway if they're near a freeway, but I don't see any ones. They're always closing off the freeways. So, and homes are being lost. I think somebody, people are dying. Everybody keeps asking me, are you okay? You okay? You okay? But we did have wind yesterday where I am running about 50 miles an hour, wind gusts and stuff like that. And, that's usual, no problem. But who's setting the fires? Somebody was arrested for setting the fire in Sonoma. I was reading an article about it. So they're not seeing that. They're always blaming it on the power lines. They're turning off our electricity.
Okay, so you are impacted by that.
Not me as much. Everybody around me was off yesterday because they said a transformer fell. So they had some areas, like a mile of street over. That one was off. And so, but me, no, I'm good. But they give me notices all the time that some people in the community have been affected by it, and your community have been affected by it, and you may be too. So, so they get 48 hours, then they say Friday you'll get it back on and all this kind of stuff. So it's really kind of interesting to be in a situation like this. I'm not afraid of it, but, it's just interesting because they could have planned better. The governor is about having a cow because the utility company is turning off the power at will, and they don't feel that that's necessary for those kind of things. Like, say, for instance, up in the Tehachapi Mountains, it's all community, so you don't have any open brush. So why are you turning off all the community? That's what one of the managers of that city was saying. So this is what power, gives people, and it corrupts them to do whatever they want when they ever feel like doing it. And I don't understand why they don't have the brush cleared around these power lines everywhere they have them, instead of waiting that wind comes up and then ignite it, if that is the case. I have a suspicious mind. They're covering up for something else that's going down. Everything is a cover-up. I even think this impeachment has something to do with some things. Because, seriously, a man is the president. He has the right to tell somebody, hey, this guy is working in your country. Why don't you check him out? But that's, oh, no, that's impeachable. And then that Epstein guy, they found out he was killed. Duh, no joke.
Right.
He had so much evidence on people. He was valuable dead. He took pictures and everything of all these so-called political people who've gone to his Lolita Island. So, they have to get rid of him. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Right.
But, some things going on, and there's a lot of tension, and they're trying to take the government down with Trump, and then they're going to take the government down, period, because that's... Anyway.
No. It's interesting because I don't know if you had an opportunity, a YouTube channel called Logic Before Authority. He is doing an excellent job. He's putting out videos, short videos, like between 10 minutes, no longer than 16 minutes. He is going to the different satellite views of California, and he's documenting the explosions that are happening. And then next thing you know, a couple of hours later, a fire is breaking out. Now, interestingly enough, one of his videos, you saw the satellite where it looked like a laser beam hit this one location. And then a couple of minutes later, a fire broke out like in a straight line of that location. So it's almost like they're, either hitting ley lines or hitting utility lines, which would explain why they want to turn off the fucking electricity if they're zapping lines or zapping stuff underground to start these fires, because if you got those live electricity lines up and running when you're hitting lasers, then they cannot control those fires. So I would encourage people to check him out. Like I said, he puts out about 4 videos a day, whatever he's seeing on that satellite feed. And again, his YouTube channel is Logic Before Authority.
I gotta watch. Because it'll be interesting because those areas, and he's been dead on with accuracy, dead on. We had a point at the Griffith, because isn't it Griffith Park area? Because I know that's like Griffith Park. Is that like?
Yeah, that's a huge park. He predicted that the fire was going to break out in that area because he showed it on the satellite, and sure enough, got up the next day, that was the fire that was going on. So I encourage people to check him out.
I think one of the Simi Valley fire, if I'm not mistaken, that's a leaf blowing into a transformer. They don't even plant near transformers. What are they talking about? They don't, because utility companies get fined if they let like trees and stuff grow and all that kind of stuff. They get fined for that. So they can miss me with the bull S on that. Yeah, who they trying to fool that caused that fire? really crazy. And they're always on the weekend. And I said that, I think, to somebody on
always on the weekend.
It's always on the weekend, so nobody can get out if you're off from work. And then now this week they made it this week. Because I said, it's always on the weekend. Isn't that suspicious? And the next thing I know, they're making it during the week. And, they do have the harp. They still have that machine, which can generate all this wind. But
they've had that. They done upgraded that doggone thing so many times. But so we don't even know what new technology they have to generate these events. But the laser stuff, I think they call it direct energy weapons.
Yeah, energy weapons. And I think they do that with satellites, right?
Yes.
That's what the satellites are for.
And unmarked planes, yes.
Well, actually, one kind of plane just landed I saw that on the internet. I forgot to check what kind it is and write it down. But it just landed from an unknown assignment. It's been up there. So they even have these planes that can stay up there a long time, I guess, and do whatever they need to do. But what's the purpose? We won't know until China come marching in or something,
Yeah, it's shout out to GD Thompson 42 in the chat room. They said the corrupt politicians sold the land to China. Absolutely, because it was Governor Brown's funky ass? Is he still in office?
Yeah. No, he's not. Okay. He's not in office anymore. There's Newsom is in. And boy, he's one pissy. He's off. He's mad. He's there. He said there's no excuse for it. But our predecessor, I didn't like him. He was like a grandfather who told us what we were going to do, not asked us what we were going to do. So,
but he was the one that signed the deal to let China have those ports. Or am I just lying on the man?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Article. Oh, okay then. I thought I had saw an article with that.
Mm-hmm. The Pedro ports, I heard about that he sold it to China. So, and they had a news or something article they were talking about. Now you're worried about terrorism, but you give the ports to China, and they can bring anything in there.
Yeah, they full of shit. That's what they are.
So wait a minute now. Obama gave the Mexicans the right to come through with all the trucks. They're not paying taxes to build these roads. When their trucks tear them out.
Clinton started that with that trucking industry.
Obama did that stuff with that.
But it really started with Clinton.
It started with Bush
Clinton
making that central line from from Mexico to all the way through the United States. Remember, they did that.
And then Clinton enacted it, and then just kept it going because they're all the same agenda at the end of the day. And G.D. Thompson 42 says the politicians in Cali are all related to each other.
All related, not Cali, we're everywhere. They're cousins and all that kind of stuff. We can't even hardly get down the freeway with all these trucks in the way. Because it used to be they could not go in except for on the slow lane, the first lane. But now they can go all the way across the freeway. And then we have to spend out more money making the freeways wider because they have all these truckers coming in from Mexico.
I'm sorry, Brother Sean, go ahead. I think you were trying to get in.
Well, Trump, he didn't squash all that as far as for that Harvey deal. Trump been squashing all that bullshit.
Yeah, he's trying to get him out.
Oh, no, he's doing it.
Yeah,
people paying attention to what's going on. He's doing it. He ain't on that. He got them paying money now.
Well,
Trump,
our people think he's really bad for us, but, I live in California, okay? I see Because California is like the gateway to the immigrations and stuff, and all this kind of stuff they're doing. They did. Reagan did. I mean, not Reagan, but Bush and Obama and all them people. California is like sanctuary city and crazy stuff. Yeah, he's doing it. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
a Trump
sorry,
supporter.
No, I'm not
Trump
either.
Supporter, but
I'm not either.
I'm peeping game.
Yeah.
And I'm watching what's happening. I'm watching my enemies fight each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because I'm with you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I've been playing chess my whole life. It's a damn good chess match that's going on. Now, if people just can't understand it and just sit back and watch.
Yep. That's all.
And not give up your energy and get all emotionally involved.
Exactly.
You need to know what's going on so you know what you need to be doing.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, I'm with you, sis. It's just no coincidence that all of a sudden they want to talk about impeachment. And, you know, you have a state that's literally being burned to the ground.
Right. You know,
so,
that
they
may
have
even
no
be...
grounds. They have no legal grounds for impeachment. Oh, that's bullshit and bluff.
That is a bluff.
We know that.
You have to understand that is not even constitutional what they're doing, and yet they put this crud on all these news medias, and they say, lock him up for what? Well, you don't want a president who don't ask people are they crooks. So it's all somebody's paying these people to go out there and do all that protesting, and I think he's got all these. I saw some indictments on some senators going out there that representatives that he's been put out there for the DOJ, and they're trying to stop all that. Remember those sealed letters or envelopes he got with all the names that they were going to do, and they were sending it out to people. And I guess they got them because I saw some indictments going out.
Yeah, well, it's certainly been interesting. That's for sure. And like Brother Sean said, just keep sitting watching. Just keep sitting back watching and pay attention specifically to what they aren't talking about.
Exactly.
That's really what's going on.
And
what
watch how many people.
About.
Just watch how many people allegedly die.
Hey, wait a minute. And Quentin. Don't forget that.
Oh, Quentin ain't gonna save them.
No, but you know what I'm saying? They're getting out the public eye. Remember we said a long time ago with all this.
Yeah, but it's not gonna matter. Barden already said it's a criminal investigation now.
Yeah.
So.
Remember we said they were all going to start quitting and dying and all kinds of stuff to get out.
Yeah, military tribunals going on. That's why they're getting out of the light because they on trial and get more.
Yep, that's what.
And then they execute it. Right.
Oh yeah, you know that other guy died or something. The 90-year-old dude. I think he was over the finance committee or something. He just died too. I said,
Cummings, Elijah Cummings.
No, the other one, John something or other, Converse or something. He was in 2017. He stepped down because he was accused of inappropriate touching or whatever. He's 90 years old. Can you?
Yeah. His hands still work.
Yeah.
Conyers from Michigan.
Conyers, that's the name. Thank you. I know it's Conyers.
42, yeah. Well, all I can say is this is the corporation in action. So it is what it is. That's
who
all.
people vote for. People actually want them people to be their leaders.
Exactly. Choosing their master, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing master. So they can have at it.
While California burns, this is the second year in a row is burning.
Exactly.
The second year in a row.
Exactly. While California burns, another big crack happened. Damn, and I hate where it was, and now I didn't forgot. So sinkholes are opening up, cracks.
In Texas, lightning.
I remember where it was. Yeah. So, Texas. But don't pay attention to none of that.
Lightning tore it up.
Yeah, don't pay attention. Yeah, don't pay attention to the sky turning purple, and when lightning hits, it turns different colors. Don't pay attention to any of that. Okay.
Well, Chief, what was his name? Not Warhorse, but the chief you had on the show.
Yes.
They're going to hide. They were going to go hide when this happens, and I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
Bunkers and underground stuff.
Right. And really, the reality of it is there's nowhere to hide.
No.
There's nowhere to hide, and that's why they want to keep people's consciousness, the collective consciousness, focused on bullshit. Because in order to continue this charade, they must have participation.
Right.
So it is what it is.
That's true.
But Californians, just stay safe and just be on alert. Do not depend on them to come get you. I'm going to say this again. Do not depend on any government agency to save and come and get you. They have shown time and time again that it ain't going to happen. So have you a plan together? So
that's another thing they're doing too, is telling everybody to have their own plans.
Well, at least they and not that, because they damn sure didn't tell Katrina and them that. And if people didn't learn after Katrina, shit, I can't help you.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it is what it is. Brother Sean, you have any go ahead on with the fuckery? Brother Sean? Uh-oh.
Did he drop?
No, I see him. He mute.
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, definitely. Them fires are also a distraction.
Right.
But certain beings are also being burnt out. Certain hideouts. It's not necessarily who you think it is that's starting the fire. It's not necessarily the government. As we said before, trees hold a lot of secrets. They're the record keepers.
Mm-hmm.
They want that knowledge. They trying to survive. They stay alive by our participation, by giving them energy.
Indeed.
By simply not knowing how to stop. The fuckery goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all don't want to stop. Y'all want somebody else to tell y'all what to do, how to think, where to go.
Yeah.
And where has that got you? The whole fuckery that I'm getting to is your participation, your consent, your willingness to be fucked. So there's your fuckery.
Indeed. I do want to say we're going to get into tonight's main topic. Oh, hey, 70 Christopher, my millennial, peace and love for Nevada. Oh, I'm glad to see you in the chat room. And she says this is our millennial Sis Sandra and Brother Sean that calls in from time to time in the chat room, sending us a shout out.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, sending a shout out to 832 and Lex. So glad in that chat room, beloved. So glad you're in the chat room. Before I get started, this was on my heart. I do want to say, first of all, when I sent the shout outs to my brothers who have the spiritual maturity regarding divine feminine energy, I did not mean to exclude a couple of brothers. I want to, of course, shout out Brother 646 and shout out to Brother Will Kapoor because he's been rocking with us for a minute and he and overstands as well. So I definitely want to add those brothers to the list. Very well, much loved and respected in my eyesight. And then the second thing I want to discuss, this series is going to be painful and is painful to a lot of folks. So that means melanated people and Caucasian people. This shit is painful because the doctrination that we were given, that all of us were given, the shit has just been totally told in reverse. So I know that it is upsetting to some. And the reason that I'm even putting this disclosure out here, because do not think that I don't feel the same way when I run across this information and I have to research it and digest it and have it settle in my consciousness as this is the truth. That's what it is. So I do want to acknowledge that if you stick with this series, yeah, it's going to be painful. You know, you're going to be pissed off, but you take the information and you do what you feel is best with it. But I do have to say that this is in the age of knowing. All of these things are going to be revealed. So the good part about it, if you have stumbled upon this information, this series, then you're really on to much more than you think that you are on, because 95% of the population, they don't want to be bothered, they don't want to hear about it, etc. At least you have the courage to listen to the information, even if you pissed off or feel it's not the truth or whatever. So I did want to put that out there for folks, anybody for that matter, that is struggling with the information, that it's painful. You know, I understand, I overstand, I hear you, and don't think that for me personally, I did not feel those same things ran across this information and researched it. So I did want to put that out there. Let me go to 646, and then we're going to get into the topic. Peace and love, 646, your line is open.
Peace and love. Thank you for taking my call. I love you so much, Sister Rhonda.
Love you too, brother.
There. And to the panel, Sandra, Sean, thank you guys. Love you too. And just to be sure, I don't mind being doubly shouted out, but you didn't miss me last call, so I thank you again.
Okay.
and you know, I went in the queue and then came out the queue and then went back in the queue because I kept getting pronged by different vibrations from what was being said. Especially, I liked when John talked about watching a chess game, right, from a distance with two enemies. And then,
right.
And then as there was something else that was said that really just made me say that because of something I wanted to mention that may or may not have anything to do with anything, but I doubt it. But in any event, when I was younger, I used to look on the window while I'm sitting on the train, and I'm looking at the side of the window, and I couldn't figure out and still can't figure out and never fully investigated, why is it that the reflections I'm seeing is not what I would expect to see if I was looking at something in the mirror? And then tonight, as I was waiting for the elevator downstairs, and my back is to a glass door, and I look down, and I see the reflection of my feet, right? And it's like I'm forward, and the reflection behind me, those feet are going that way. And it's mind-boggling to me. So and see what it says to me in a certain sense is the difference in angles of looking at things as well. So that if we miss the real reflection of what be going on and the fact that where we're at versus where we are, you know, that sounds like a convoluted or a little something mixed up, but where we at versus where we are, it's almost like when Einstein, I believe on his dying bed, was saying how he missed the ball.
Right.
And what I believe he was really talking about was the fact that he was looking at it from one side, which was the smaller side of things, and missed the whole pie.
Right.
And in some way, that reflection thing seems to really tie with that. But, you know, I just had to throw it out there. It was on my heart to do that. So I thank you for the time.
Indeed. And our millennial sends a shout out to you, sending you love.
Thank you. Chat. Right back at you. Right back at you. Love you too.
All right. Well, it's good to hear your voice, brother, and thank you so much.
Likewise. Peace and love.
Okay. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right. A shout out to our brother 646. Been rocking with us for a long time. All right, family. Here we go. So, we're going to pick back up if you're, excuse me, thumbing to the page through the pages with us. I'm going to go back to the white trash, the 400 years of untold history of class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. I'm on page 29. All right, so remember last week, just real quick, I'm just going to highlight she talked about how when they first stood up Jamestown colony and Sir Walter Raleigh in Roanoke, how it was an utter failure. Okay. And how a lot of indentured servants, okay, that was their nice way of saying white slave. And the reason that term is even used, family, because in case you're just joining us, and then I want to reiterate that too, so we can enter and understand where these terms came from and how they were changed over time to fit an agenda and to rewrite and shape history. Okay? Because again, the main reason that the whole white indentured servant / slavery was covered up was because the Caucasians were taking the seats of power on the different thrones across the world. So specifically Europe and then the Americas. So because they never held these seats of power and their origins had always been the poor, quote, quote, class, an entire history had to be created in order for that rulership to stand. So everything had to be reversed. Okay? Now, indentured servitude back up in the day was used for people that were either in debt, so meaning you had you owed a debt and your debt was going to be paid through your labor. This shit sounded familiar? Through your labor, and the contract, you went up under contract to pay off your debt through labor, but that contract was only allowed to be for 7 years. Now, what else in this current Roman Babylon system are you allowed to do every 7 years? And it coincides with stock market ups and downs. Bankruptcy. You're only allowed to discharge your debt, your bankruptcy, every 7 years. If you follow the trends, you go back and follow the trends and analysis of the Wall Street stock market, which, by the way, the origins of that was based on trading labor, but that's a separate story. You go back to Wall Street and you look at the trends, you'll see a dip, meaning a downtrodden every 7 years. And then one of those 7 year cycles is what I'm trying to say. You'll have a total, almost a quote, quote, total collapse. Okay? So I'm just trying to give you a little bit of origin of these terms. And so some say that the term slavery really was describing the people that originally held the indentured servant titles, meaning the Caucasian people, because it was describing the Slavs, Slavs. All right? Okay, so let's get to, what did I say? I think I said page 29. I wrote it down this time, y'all. It is page 29. Righty. Despite Jamestown's intractable problem, a group of English investors and religious separatists secured a patent from Virginia Company and set their sights on land near the mouth of the Hudson River. Okay? So, Brother Sean, did you want to give a family kind of an overview of what Virginia Company is? I forgot. If not, I'll look it up right quick to get the official word.
It was a trading company, and one of their biggest stocks that they traded in was slaves.
Exactly.
They were importing slaves in from everywhere. Europe, quote unquote India, Caribbean islands, everything.
That's right.
It's one of the starting points.
Indeed. Now, the official definition from Wikipedia, the Virginia Company refers collectively to two joint stock companies chartered under James I on April 10, 1606, with the goal of establishing settlements on the coast of America. The two companies are referred to as the Virginia Company of London, or the London Company, and the Virginia Company of Plymouth. And they operated with identical charters, but with differing territories. The charters established an area of overlapping territory in America as a buffer zone, and the two companies were not permitted to establish colonies within 100 miles of each other. The Plymouth Company never fulfilled its charter, but its territory was claimed by England and became New England. As corporations, the companies were empowered by the crown to govern themselves, and this right was passed on to the colony following the dissolution of the Third Charter in 1621. The Virginia Company failed in 1624, but the right to self-govern was not taken from the colony. The principle was thus established that a royal colony should be self-governing, and this formed the genesis of democracy in America. Okay, so the last statement was bullshit, because how's it democracy when a shit was set up as a corporation? And a charter means it's a contract that authorizes you to do business. Every state, what we're calling states today, every state has a charter. You can go online, you can look the shit up, and you could go all the way back, well, especially the states that have pretty much put all of their documentation online. You can go back and see which fucking king issued the charter. All right, so here we go. All right, so a patent, okay, and when you hear people talk about land patents, I'm calling motherfuckers out tonight. You motherfuckers talking about land patents? You got the fucking patent from the crown. And it's still illegal. It's void. All right. Secured a patent from the Virginia Company and set their sights on land near the mouth of the Hudson River. Whether by accident or, as some have speculated, by secret design, their first ship the Mayflower landed on Cape Cod beyond the purview of the Virginia Company in 1620. Okay, so when did they say, all right, so they said on Wikipedia that supposedly and allegedly 1621 that charters were dissolved. All right, so she's saying 1620. All right, the small struggling band lost half their number to starvation and disease during the first year. All right, so before I go on, now they were just coming from Europe over to the Americas. And according to this, they lost half of their numbers to starvation and disease during the first year. But millions, the official story of slavery is millions were shipped from Africa, right? Oh, okay then. The wife of one of the leaders, William Bradford, mysteriously disappeared over the side of the Mayflower. It would be a full decade before the English settlers in Massachusetts made significant inroads in attracting new settlers to the region. It says land ownership was New England's most tempting lure. During its first decade, the Bay Colony received some 21,000 settlers, only about 40% of whom came from East Anglia and the coastal towns where a high percentage of Puritan converts lived. For every religious dissenter in the exodus of the 1630s, there was one commercially driven immigrant from London or other areas of England. The majority in these years came as extended families, accompanied by their servants. And almost 60% of the arrivals were under the age of 24, 1/3 of them unattached males. Okay. All right, so we're going on to, and I'm skipping around, y'all, to the meaty part. I'm going to page 30. In Puritan society, the title of gentleman usually applied to men with some aristocratic pedigree, though wealthy merchants who held prominent positions in the church could acquire the same designation. Master or Mr. and mistress were for educated professionals, clergymen, and their wives. Goodmen attached to the honorable husbandman who owned the land but did not occupy a prominent position as magistrate or minister. Okay. New England, and I want y'all to just note that magistrate term. Okay. All that shit comes from Europe. All right. New Englanders used these titles sparingly, but they were certainly conscious of them. The government they abided by, after all, imitated English county oligarchy in which the land elite monopolized government offices. The Puritan elite depended on a menial labor force. At the top of the pecking order were apprentice and hired servants. Lower down were those forced into servitude because of debt or after having committed a crime, as we have seen in Virginia. Case in point, in 1633, Winthrop presided over the trial of a man accused of robbery. Upon conviction, his estate was sold and was used to repay his victims. He was then bound for 3 years of service, and his daughter, as added collateral, bound for 14. This was typical. The 1648 Laws and Liberties established 2 classes of an even lower order who could be divested of liberty. Indians captured in, and this is in quotation, y'all, just wars, and strangers as willingly sell themselves or are sold to us. The strangers in this case were indentured servants from outside the colony as well as imported African slaves. So let me take a sip of my water because I want us to digest that goddamn properly. She put a lot in that sentence. But she's describing 3 types of systems of slavery. Indians captured in just wars or justified wars, and strangers as willingly sell themselves or are sold to us. The strangers in this case were indentured servants from outside the colony as well as imported African slaves. So she just described 3 sets of groups of people. The Indians, or indigenous to the Americas, were captured as prisoners of war. Then the quote, strangers are the indentured servants whose contracts were swapped out, sold, which meaning the Caucasian white folks, and then you had some African slaves. All right. For servants, 17th century New Englanders relied most heavily on exploitable youth, male and female, ages 10 to 21. By law, single men and women were required to reside with families and submit to family government. Children were routinely put out to labor in the homes of neighbors and relatives. The 1642 Massachusetts General Court order for the proper education of children treated apprentice servants and child as if all were interchangeable. Parents and masters alike assumed responsibility to breed and bring up children and apprentices in some honest, lawful calling. Family supervision policed those who might otherwise become rude, stubborn, and unruly. So I found it interesting that the court was ordering proper education. Sounds like the start of their definition of public schooling to me. All right. Monitoring the labor of one's own offspring became the norm as landed families retained control over the males well into adulthood. Young men could not leave the family estate nor escape their father's rule without endangering their inheritance. So family members worked long hours, as did servants of various ranks. While the extended Puritan families functioned with less reoccurrence to acts of ruthlessness than the system adopted during the tobacco boom in Virginia. Legal and cultural practices muddy the distinction between son and servant. Thus, the Puritan family was at no time the modern American nuclear family or anything close. It was often composed of children of different parents because one or another parent was likely to die young, making remarriage quite common. Winthrop fathered 16 children with 4 different wives, the last of whom he married at age 59, 2 years before his death. Most households also contained child servants who were unrelated to the patriarch. During harvest season, hired servants were brought in as temporary workers, and poor children were purchased for longer terms as menial apprentices for domestic service or farm work. The first slave cargo arrived in Boston in 1638. Winthrop, for his part, owned Indian slaves. His son purchased an African. So I'm finna read that shit again. I need another little swig of my water. I want that to sink in. The first slave cargo arrived in Boston in 1638. Winthrop, for his part, owned Indian slaves. His son purchased an African. So an African, don't that mean one? And isn't slaves plural? So that's the many to one. So that million Africans hitting the coast still is not adding up. So I'll pause in case Brother Sean or Sis, you have something to put on it. If not, I am going to keep it pushing.
Yeah. Like you were saying, all the states have charters, which permits them to do business.
Yes, sir.
But first and foremost, they're foreign corporations.
Yes, they are.
So nothing that they're doing here is lawful. Period.
Not a damn thing.
That's what their terminology, even though they sit up and tell the truth, like how you pointed out, Indians, plural, and African, one African.
Yep.
So, I mean, it seemed like it must have not been that many to be choosing from.
Right.
Or them being an inferior stock, considering the quote-unquote whites are Africans.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been said they didn't make very good slaves, that they was weak.
Yep.
Fragile.
And she's gonna get that. Yep. She's going to get into that in the book. Yep.
Well, I digress.
Yeah. I'm sorry, sis. Good point, brother.
They use the word just wars.
Mm-hmm.
There's some documentary back in 1600 or something, 1670 I think it was, of they felt that in their Virginia I think it was, they felt that when they took this land they did it in the name of Jesus. And when they take it in the name of Jesus, they call it a just war. That's what the governor said.
Okay.
That's how they call it, a just war. Everything they wanted, they did it in their Savior's name, and that was Jesus. And I'm like, oh my God! If our people knew how ridiculous it is to call on that name, and he wrote it many times in his record. Many times.
Wow. It makes sense. It makes total sense. They're saying in the name of Jesus, but yet you got motherfucking contracts written to the hilt.
Right. Well, I don't know if people really know it, but the New Testament is based on economy. it's a money system, and their Jesus, every time he almost opened his mouth, he's talking about money. You know, the 10 loaves of bread, the taxes go to a fish. You know, it's all hidden messages for them to stay out of the system and make money. It's not what we have been trained that it's about a Savior coming to save us.
Exactly.
He always talking about the money changers. Everything
Yep.
he says is about money.
Yep.
And
because remember, it's a Roman system. It's a Roman Babylon system.
Yeah, I heard a European or Slavic talk about what the New Testament is for. And he was talking about it on a program that tells you how to recoup your monies and stuff, and and save and invest. And he said, "Didn't Jesus teach us? Didn't he teach us? And did he teach us? And did he teach us?" And I realized the New Testament is not about salvation because he died for you. They were using that as a way to tell you to save your money and how to stay out of debt.
Very interesting, sis. Very, very interesting. All right, family. I'm on page 33. Puritans were obsessed with class rank. It meant security to them, and they could not disguise the anxiety that even the thought of its disruption or dissolution produced. After the bloodletting of King Philip's War, 1675 to 76, Mary Rowlandson cautionary tale, The Sovereignty and Goodness of God, appeared widely in print, offering up a forceful example of the role of class at a susceptible moment of rebuilding. At the outset of the war, I know y'all know the Narragansett Indians dragged Rowlandson from her burning house in Lancaster, Massachusetts, and held her as prisoner for 11 weeks. Her 1682 account detailed the psychological struggle she had endured as she sought to preserve her identity as a member of the English gentry after being forced into servitude by her Indian captors. As the wife of a minister and the daughter of a wealthy landowner, Rowlandson told a double story. On one level, it was a journey of spiritual redemption. On another, tale of the loss of breeding, followed by the former prisoner's restoration to her previous class rank. So it was one part in here. Okay, I just found it interesting that she wanted to preserve her identity, or her title, basically. All right. Rowlandson's Indian mistress is the story's villain. Weetamoo was a powerful queen of the Pocasset Wampanoag who had inherited her station after displaying the savvy to marry 3 other prominent sachems. Dressed in girdles of wampum beads wrapped in thick petticoats and adorned with bracelets. And sachem, you all, means chief. My bad. I did look it up. I didn't want to just scoop past that. So dressed in girdles, wampum beads wrapped in thick petticoats and adorned with bracelets, Weetamoo spent hours on her toilet. a severe and proud dame. She ordered Rowlandson around and slapped her. In Rowlandson's eyes, her detested mistress was the Indian equivalent of the English noblewoman, a royalist of the New World who flaunted her power. Submission, the same quality Puritans demanded of their own servants, did not come easily to Rowlandson. The once proud minister's wife had been reduced to a lowly maid servant. In this way, she did not equate the natives with primitive savages, as the captive John Dickerson did in Virginia. Instead, they were usurpers and posers who grossly violated the divine order of assigned station. All right, so I found that interesting that old girl got taken hostage. So supposedly she has some title from Europe, and when she got taken hostage, whatever the damn case may be, she basically didn't like it because she had been knocked down. So I just found that very, very interesting that when the shoe was on the other foot, all of a sudden the natives, the Wampanoags, they're the ones that are the identity thefts. So in other words, the Indian woman was walking around like she was all that in a bag of chips. And what gives her the right to walk around like she's all that in a bag of chips? Because look at me, I have an official title, but you walking around on her shit. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, so the Puritans used family authority. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know, the old Westerns used to show that a lot. When the indigent were taken slaves by the Indians, then they lost their eyes in their own culture, and in the Indian culture, they were no good either. So they had a hard time getting their status back because nobody wanted them because they were tainted. They showed a lot. They showed a lot of that in old Westerns, you know, and when they captured, some of them would rather be dead. In those movies they portrayed, then go back into their own society because they were
and be cast out.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Let me bring on 330. I think that's Brother Lex. So hold on a second. Oh shoot. Let me try this again. Peace and love.
How you guys doing tonight?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, too. Excuse me. How are you ladies doing tonight? How you doing, Brother Sean? I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I was just enjoying the reading. Good. Just enjoying the reading. You know, I thought I would, come in now. It was interesting how she in the book, how the last sentence reads, as she calls them usurpers.
Yes.
It really makes me wonder if she's just, like you're saying, just saying that, like, hey, I feel I'm this high up, or if she's saying that by contract. Our contract to be on the land is with these Indians, and you don't have authority here, and you
that very well
me
could
up.
be the case. Now that could have been the case. That very well could have been the case. I already had an agreement. Who the hell are you to?
Right.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. Also, very, very good point.
11 months. That's the time to have a child as well. You know. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying it is. There's no telling about, what people go through in what they call their kidnapping or torture experience.
Right.
If she already has to deal with the blemish of I've been captive for almost a year. You can imagine all you want what happened to me, but when you look at the idea of 11 months, that is enough time for you to be. Hey, I'm sorry. This is a reality. I don't mean to say things that might bother people or anything.
Good.
Like you said,
it's all good.
But this is enough time to be raped and then produce a child and then be cut free as if that is your wage for freedom. I'm just assuming, because 11 months is odd to have, because you got to feed a person that long. You've got to clothe a person that long. Somebody's looking for that person that long, especially if they're that high up.
Right. That's a good point.
But that's all I wanted to, just kind of just.
That's a good point, brother.
All
right. All righty. Okay, I'm gonna continue on, and as always, brother, just put something on it when you feel the need. The Puritans used family authority reinforced by the law to regulate their servants' population. So you might be on to something there, Brother Lex. Distrustful of strangers and religious outsiders, they also granted privileges to the religious elect, or those who comprise the core consistency of the church's laity. Okay, so take note of the word granted privileges. Okay, all right. Colonizing schemes all drew on the language of breeding. Fertility had to be monitored, literally and figuratively, under the watchful supervision of household and town fathers. This was the case in disciplining unruly children, quarreling servants, and dispensing religious membership privileges to the next generation. Example, the offspring of the godly. Good breeding practices tamed otherwise unmanageable waste. Whether it was wasteland or waste people, breeding sustained the pastoral traditions already associated with the Elizabethan age, which forced its best literary expression in testaments to rustic beauty and cosmic harmony. What separated rich from poor was that the landless had nothing to pass on. They had no heirs. This was particularly true in Jamestown, where the orphans of dead servants were sold off like the possessions of a foreclosed estate. As burglary spawned, the poor were detached from the land. Only proper stewards of the fertile ground deserved rights. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. If not, I'll keep it pushing. All right. A common thought had it that English explorers married the land they discovered. Marriage implied custodial authority, a sovereign right to a corner of the earth. I'm going to stop right here because I done brought this up several times. So you mean to tell me, go ahead, sis.
Like our people just shared the land, left it the way they found it, and they have another value system there in printing on this planet with their coming is that your worth is the land. So their value system outstripped us, and they took the land because that's their worth. Otherwise, they had no freedom to do or be anybody if they didn't have any property. That generates greed. It breeds thievery. And because their value system was their land, just like our value system right now, you're saying that our value is in our land, and that's why they would marry the women to get the land.
Mhm.
It's come down many generations now with the same value system that they must have the land to be worth something.
Right. Exactly. Very, very well said, sis. You just pointed out what I wanted to say about them connecting being married to the land puts them in a sovereign right to a corner of the earth. So in other words, they knew they had to join with the feminine from a spiritual perspective and physical perspective in order in their mind to own land that they were not indigenous to, and they were not the rightful caretakers of that land. Okay, so just by them marrying into the land, that gave them sovereignty. Not being born of the land, but married to the land. Because when you are born of the land, you have a divine, spiritual, inherited birthright to the land versus marrying into the land. They're equating being sovereign.
The elites then found out another way to still take the land from them. And they did that via the birth certificate. Because under the birth certificate, you belong to them and your kins for generations and generations. So it's always a scheme to steal the land from the landowners. So they done gotten double crossed by their own people who brought them over here, because now they can't have freedom either unless they get out from under that birth certificate, or as in this country become less of a U.S. citizen. So it's a lot of trickery all the way down the line. One person, it's like the man at the top tricks the guy at the bottom, the guy at the bottom tricks the next person, and and it goes on again, on again, and repeats it.
Exactly. And my whole thing is, and I totally agree with everything you said, sis. And just to add to that, the fact that they're talking about sovereignty and carrying through the land, but you had to pay taxes back to the crown ultimately, just as it is today.
Yeah, just the same.
So it was all a hustle and a pyramid scheme out the gate.
And they're working right hard to get sovereignty again. Because the land, if people buy a house, doesn't mean you own it. The bank owns it. The government owns it.
And the government and the bank really don't own it. It's all sitting in trust because they know that it's all a Ponzi scheme. And even, when they were enticing people to come over, the folks that they set up in the position, when they granted them land or granted them those land patents. And that's why, again, I encourage the family to go to these different states and look up those state charters, and go back to the earliest one possible and read through it, and you'll see how people were granted land, okay? They still had to not only paid taxes on the land that they were, quote, quote, given, but they had to work the land and harvest the land as well. And depending on what particular crop they were harvesting, because they didn't even get to make that decision ultimately, some of that harvest had to be shipped back to England as well. Okay,
and
so it was all just a Ponzi scheme. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Look at the sharecroppers. They own the land. They're the farmers. They work the land, but then they charge them so much for the stuff that they really don't own the land. And they just have to work it and work it and work it and work it and work it, but they charge them for the goods to work it with. And that's their way of taking the land from our people. When, the melanated farmers own the land by that sharecropping scheme they set up.
Right. And see, all of that started happening when the intermarrying was going on between the indigenous Indians and the Europeans, the melanated Europeans. Okay, that's what the term marrying into the land really meant. That's what it really meant. So that's how all of that taxation and stuff was able to set in as well, because now you had a blended mixture. So meaning the indigenous woman marrying a melanated man from Europe, now they're taking on the laws of that crown. And then the hole just started getting dug deeper and deeper. And as the corporation of the United States was being set up and developed, and meaning the Caucasians were being put on those thrones, the behind the door scheme was to come up with the debt system with the farming and the sharecroppers to get them into debt to start taking away the land inheritance. Okay, so it was literally a big land transfer from the melanated to the Caucasians who were coming into power. Okay, but very, very good point, sis. Very good point. And if you want to know specifically, I have to give a shout out to Dane Calloway. He did an excellent video about millions and millions of acres of land of the quote, quote, black farmers that was taken away. So that Nucera stuff that a lot of these underground communities are talking about, it originated with the melanated black farmers being taken away from their land. And then all of a sudden, as things go, the shit turned into something totally different. But great point, sis. All right, it goes. In dedicating the book to Sir Walter Raleigh in 1587, Higlet, the younger, reminded his patron of the sweet embraces of Virginia, that fairest of the nymphs whom the queen had conferred upon him as his bride. The land patent was thus a contract. So let me see. I'm trying to see where should I start next. All right, here we go. The richest embellishment of New World fertility came from the pen of Thomas Morton, whose New English Canaan or New Canaan, containing an abstract of New England, 1637, offered humorous double entendres amid lush descriptions of the land. Historians are divided over what to make of the controversial Morton. Some reckon him as a scoundrel and libertine, while others regard him as the populist critic of Governor John Winthrop and the Puritan establishment. So John Winthrop was one of the leaders of that whole Puritan establishment crap. All right, so he arrived in 1624 with 30 servants in tow and set himself up on a pastoral manorial estate. From there, he established an outpost to trade in furs with native tribes. He served as a lawyer in defense of a royal patent pursued by other non-Puritan investors to the northern part of New England. But he also battled Winthrop's Puritans, was arrested 3 times, had his goods confiscated, and his house burned down. He was banished from the colony twice, writing New England canon while in exile in England, where he worked unsuccessfully at getting Massachusetts Bay Colony's patent revoked. Okay, so again, those of you talking about those land patents, I think you better rethink that shit. Because those patents were issued by the different European crowns, and they are not valid. All right, here we go. His dislike of the Puritans is manifest in his observation about their use of the land. There were no better than moles, he wrote, blindly digging into the earth without appreciating its natural pleasures. It bothered him that the Puritans had no real interest in the native people beyond converting them. He dismissed Winthrop and his followers. Oh, hell to the no. I forgot I read this, y'all. He dismissed Winthrop and his followers as effeminate, as bad husbands of the land. He satirized the Puritans in New England canon as sexually impotent second husbands to a widowed land, which Morton, who had married a widow himself, and his business associates could rescue. They were ready to move in on the incompetent Puritans strutting nearby, attractive and decidedly more virile lovers waiting in the wings. Okay, so basically, you had Europe coming over, creating contracts on the land, issuing charters on the land, issuing land grants and land patents on the land, and then they got over here and started fighting among each other on something that wasn't theirs in the beginning. And let's again be clear that the rulership of the time of these particular was the black nobility. Let me see. No. Okay, I see you now. My millennial, she's just getting in the queue. 775. I see you, beloved. I see you now. You have to press *1 to get in the queue. I see you, so I'm about to bring you on. Peace and love.
Peace and love, y'all.
Hey, it's good to hear your voice. How are you?
All is well. All is well. I just wanted to add on real quick. So I'm a real estate agent out here in Nevada. And I was doing some research on a property, and I noticed that the previous owners of this land that's being developed, it had initials. It was let me get this right, SVWW2 LLC. And I was like, hold up, what the hell does that mean? Well, because I'm like, WW2, that's World War II. What is SV stand for?
Right.
I did some more research, and it's submarine veterans. And it was actually the post mailbox was at the next city over, which is a naval base. So they were actually, and this is old. They held this land a long time before it actually started getting developed. And what I noticed is it wasn't just one particular person, or how would you say it, like one noble. It was a group of these military people purchasing land together, and they were right outside of the base. So that's what they were doing. They were making claims to the land that was not developed, and then that's how they set up their little forts and their little territory. And then, because we're right here next to a Native American reservation, it's about 5 miles from the house. So it was just like, as you're talking about how they were moving about the land, it's crazy because I see it on the records. They don't hide stuff, y'all. And then they don't. Then they made themselves, tax exempt through different statutes so that they didn't have to pay those taxes to the crown. So they were making laws to benefit themselves while they were over here. They were making claims to shit that wasn't theirs, and with all this paperwork. So it's funny how the story that, as you're telling the story, is correlating with what I'm researching here, and it's funny how they just put this shit all out for you to see.
Yep. All people have to do is go and look at those records on how the land transfers from one person to the next. And the further back you go, the clearer the story gets. But all of it starts with a charter. All of it starts with the charter. In that charter, the territories are named out or are assigned rather to the royalty or the king's boys in them. And some of the charters even map out, have like a map drawing of the carved up territories and show you which territory was the Indian, quote, quote, territory, and then which territory was owned by the crown. So that does not surprise me at all, sis, because as I keep saying, at the end of the day, that this Roman system is all about commerce. That's
Absolutely.
what they do.
I don't understand this whole birth certificate and, getting it authenticated. I don't really see how that brings any value. And I'm just going to say, I have heard all schools of thought, Dr. Aline Day, the Washes Hall, the Hindu with his ass. I mean, it's just, I don't understand the value of it, because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I'm trying to help people get land the legal way, because they'll come and get your ass if you think you're going to stake some claims to it and say I'm indigenous. They're going to take your ass to jail.
Can I come in?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, brother. That's for you to come in and put something on it.
Actually, go ahead. Why don't you continue? You said so. Matt.
Sis, did you have anything else to put on it before Lex gives his input?
Yeah, I would like to also say I understand it in the sense of it being a bond, because they say it's a banking document. Now, just to give you a little quick backstory on how I understand that personally, is my student loans went into default, and it was on my credit report years later that Deutsche Bank is the creditor, but it has a $0 balance. So when I called Beach Bank, I said, you know, are you guys servicing my loans? What's going on? They said, oh, no, I'm a trust officer, and our investors hold that in their portfolio of assets is what he didn't say, but they hold your debt as a portfolio as an asset. And I'm like, well, how is that? And they said, well, it's a bond. It's something to do with bonds. And so I'm like, well, if that's the case, then why can't I take my debt and transfer it to an asset and borrow off that shit my damn self?
Because you haven't claimed it yet.
But there's no.
Because you haven't claimed it yet. You have to claim it so that you can access it and make yourself the trustee. Right now, somebody else is in control of your certificate as a corporation. It's just a pyramid scheme. Every baby born puts a cushion underneath the corporation. It's like this. You have to make yourself the administrator. Right now, you're the trustee, and you don't know that you're the trustee. So if you don't know that you're the trustee, you can't assign anything anywhere. And if you don't control
an administrator, if there's no administration.
Oh no, it exists. It's hidden. It's take your birth certificate, hold it up to the light.
I don't understand, because the administration is the IRS. The administration is vital statistics. The administration is all of these entities.
You're just saying stuff. If you actually want an answer, I can help you, but it's not this way. If you take your birth certificate and hold it up to if you take your birth certificate and you hold it up to the light, you will see words on the inside. It's telling you it's a bond. Those numbers, when you hear that president has to authenticate his birth certificate, it's telling you that you're being traded on the stock market. To authenticate it is to take yourself off of the trade. You and all of our birth certificates matter because we are from kingdoms that were overthrown. And they were put in trust, which means nobody can touch them until the family claims their more like their ancient inheritance. But it's not that ancient. It's only from the 1600s. It's only from the 1800s. It's only 100 years old. Birth certificate's been around since 1933. It's just a pyramid scheme to keep the corporation afloat. 4 generations ago, no birth certificates, no trust. This all has to do with the land. You said you're in what, Nevada or Utah?
Nevada.
Okay, so you're next to Utah, okay? Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona are classified as the 4 corners because they're drawn by straight lines. All right? All the way around. And when they call it that, it's because the Aztecs, and you saw how the Aztecs drew themselves, right? These are the people from the land, and they are known to have traveled north to a place called Aztlan. Those 4 corners are Aztlan. Most of the people that were pushed from that land ended up in the east, and those people that survived that push are the inheritors of that land. And as long as they don't step up and claim that land by name or by blood or however the court will acknowledge it, that land will always be sold throughout or rented or leased through the trust because the families have not spoken up. Look at Dane Calloway's face, and somebody took Dane Calloway's face and they photoshopped it with the stonework of those giant heads down the top. There you go. So it's not that hard of an argument for us to make a claim that half of our people are indigenous or de jure to the land. But it all has to do with claiming stuff. They came here and claimed your stuff.
Absolutely. From my understanding of him, because I understand everything you're saying, and I've heard it before. And from my understanding, the Freedmen Bureau was set up so that we could take our bonds and get our land and our 40 acres, our mule, and our $100 and whatever else was coming to us.
Oh,
and
wait. 40 acres in a mule was for the slave. You are the slave master. You're the Jedi, woman. They're the Sith. You did this to them. That's their thing. Your thing is inheritance. You are the heir to something. And that's what this document is all about.
So when you get the document authenticated, where do you now take that document to?
There is a process.
See, that's what I keep hearing.
If the host doesn't mind, if I say this, you know.
I keep hearing this. It's just everybody has these processes. But like I said, if we are the administrator, hold on, let me say this. If we are the actual administrators of our bonds, then where is the administration that we take these now claimed bonds to in order to act on them?
You're not the administrator. You have to file yourself.
Said I was the administrator.
You're the trustee. As a baby, you're the trustee. As a baby, you can't sign anything. So the money goes to whoever is deemed the beneficiary. The government's deemed the beneficiary. That's how it's a pyramid scheme. They get net worth, and you become a citizen. All you're doing when you fill out the correct paperwork is you're taking your net worth back. You're just taking one pillar out from underneath the pyramid, from the pyramid scheme. That's all you're doing. You're not going to get cash. Net worth translates to cash, but it's credit. Your name is. How does this what?
What is the benefit of it?
Okay, right now you're leasing your name. If you do anything that they deem is breaking the law, they can break your body. You're a citizen.
I would not break
you
the
have
law,
no
though.
rights. That's
but I don't
moot.
break the law.
You ask, what does it mean? That means you're state property until you make yourself, which is called sovereign, by claiming your bond and taking control of your name.
I hear everything you're saying, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't add up. Because, like I said, these investors now have utilized my debt as an asset, and they're able to put on their portfolio that they
when you don't pay their debt, they can buy your debt. Because whoever you owe still wants to get paid. So they can buy your debt, which is not legal. All you have to do is know the consumer laws, meaning if somebody pays that, you didn't contract with them for them to pay that. So they fit that on their own. There's a way out of that. See, as we fill out the correct paperwork, you're cutting ties with the state. Everything that you've amassed as your name prior to controlling your name, you then have to oversee the actions, straw man, or enlegus of your name. Right now, you're not in control of it because you haven't filled out the correct forms. I'm sorry?
I filled out some forms, brother. You don't even want to know. Cutting your ties with the state, you have to live in a house and you have to drive your vehicle. And at the end of the day, there's no more that's going to sit at court with you.
No. See, once if you feel.
Let me say something. We are not collective enough as a people to be acting in the manner of what you're saying safely. We are like what you would call behind enemy lines still. Okay, the best thing to do is my stepfather's a police officer, and he used to always tell my brothers, y'all better survive the encounter, okay? Survive the encounter. And as being a part of this collective living on this continent, you have to have a home, and either you're going to rent that home, you're going to buy that home, or you're going to rent it from the bank, which is buy, or you're going to squat and eventually get put in jail. So unless you're ready,
that's the second time you said that, respectfully. That's right.
Yeah, like
that's it right
nobody
there.
wants to
Everybody's
live in the
ready.
wilderness.
Hold on, man. It's very clear that most people have read the black man is a slave in the city and the king in the forest. There's no point in staying here. How are you going to free yourself and walk around with everybody else being enslaved? That sounds silly, in my opinion. So my plan and goal, what I broadcast, is to cut ties and leave, not cut ties and find a place to coexist with people that you enslaved and they've been repaying you in their kind way.
Cut ties and leave to go where? Where do you go?
Like the Bible says, follow the mound home. And if that's unagreeable, I can't help that. Obviously, all these fires, the ground opening up and falling people, man can't really control all of that. So something about all of this seems to be prophetic, whether people see it that way or not. It is time for us to...
That's because of the patriarchal system and nobody having any respect for Mama Earth. That's why the damn ground is opening up. It's crying out for healing. I think at the end of the day, we are all too mixed up to say we're going to come together. Like, we're already together. Like, it's just, everyone's mixed up at this point as far as bloodlines are concerned. So it's not one bloodline.
I highly disagree with that. Yeah, I think everybody would look mixed in. Clearly, from what these books say, the black European came over and mixed with the black Indian, and that's the only mix that happened. That's with the black European saying he's Judah, and the black Indian is pretty much the 10 tribes. All that is the unification of prophecy, just like the prophecy says. Not this isn't for everybody.
The prophecy inside of the Bible, the Philios Biblios. You talking about that prophecy? Which prophecy?
Yes, the same prophecy said that this would happen to you.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
If you stop worshiping the Creator, that created you, these things would happen. You would be overthrown. You'd be usurped. You'd be a stranger in your own land. Now, if your fathers came over and made marriages with their mothers, that makes it their land. If you've been overthrown by the slave, if you've been I'm sorry, what?
I said according to the Bible, right?
Again, I yes.
Okay, now it's all good. I just want to throw that in.
The same Bible that says these things, these earthquakes, would happen in diverse places. If we look at what they say about diversity means places crowded with people. So,
gotcha.
It seems like it's being fulfilled. So, and as people that are very wise with the law say, you hold the same minerals that the earth holds, because the Creator created us, as the Bible says, out of the earth. So when you look at these things, the man is put into a trust. And by filling out a trust document, just like the land can't be taken, you also can't be taken. And when you do these things the way I'm suggesting, you separate yourself from the state, you put your documents on file with the state that you are in a trust, and all your documents fall under that trust. So they cannot be taken from you while this system exists. And if you go to another system or you attack another system, they're joined by what's called apostolic, the apostles. So if you put it in an American system, it's respected in a Bolivia system. You can't be enslaved again unless you sign yourself up for somebody else's system. Now, withdrawing your net worth from the United States, the corporation, and merging with your brothers and sisters and merging your net worth in a barren place
you can start a new kingdom. But staying here is never part of the plan. I think you need to look up what net worth is.
I know it.
I'm not being insulting. I didn't understand.
I majored in marketing. I'm a millennial. I am of the information age. I am a Google fucking guru. I know what net worth is.
Queen.
Then I don't understand your previous statement. Any bank that's international can cash your net worth into finance. So you can build anything with net worth. When you understand how much is left.
It's the difference between resources. It's the difference between resources and what these damn banks are doing. That fucking fiat ain't shit. And these damn bond shits ain't shit either. It's all fucking fake. It's all paper that can be burned to the goddamn ground. The only resource there is Mama Earth and all of her resources. The dirt,
do you have a driver's
the gold,
license?
the silver. I sure damn do because I rode around before with my paperwork. I rode around before with my paperwork and got pulled over. I sure do got a driver's license now. Fuck that shit. I'm not going to jail.
Then it can't be meaningless.
All right.
When you say, but I say meaningless, it's not meaning. It's not a resource to the point.
It's not natural. It's not natural.
Is living in a house is natural?
Hell yeah, you don't want to freeze, do you?
This is just a different argument. I respect what you're saying.
It is.
Obviously, in the past, everybody got by because we made it to today. So, I mean, I get it, but I don't. If we want freedom, we have to leave. You cannot sit there and say to them, hold my hand as I leave. And I'm not saying that in an insulting way, or I'm not trying to. I just have to say, if we want things, who are we going to get them from? Eventually, we're going to have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm the only one that can do it. And we use a birth certificate and claiming the birth certificate and joining the age of majority, constructing a trust, putting these documents in it, this makes us untouchable. You do not need these permission slips from them anymore. The Constitution is the actual law you go by, not the statutes, not the codes. Now, again, having a driver's license means that you signed up for the statutes and the codes. Having a Social Security number and not an EIN number means that you are an employee, not a business owner. I'm trying to help you out, not argue with you.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. So being a slave would just be having a Social Security number working for somebody. Being not a slave would be having an EIN number, which means you have a business. That I understand that aspect of it. Now, when you say the whole, having a driver's license or, being enslaved, it's really in the mind. It's a mindset. I left Georgia because the white supremacy is just too much there for me.
I'm sorry. It's not a mindset. You just said without a driver's license, you were kidnapped. You were thrown in jail. So it's not a mindset.
I said I don't want to risk. I said I do not want to risk that because I have.
Okay, but that's still not a mindset either.
If I have to go and get a driver's license just for peace of mind to be able to get pulled over and go home to my children, then that's peace of mind for me. It's not that I'm agreeing and saying, we need to have one. The Constitution says that the state also, once you become a citizen of the United States, you're also a citizen of the state you live in. That's in the Constitution.
That has been rerouted. It is about interpretation. Your oppressor has interpreted in a different way. This is what Snowden has been put on treason for. Okay? He's telling you that during the George Bush era, they interpreted the Constitution in a new way. They sealed the documents, and they shoot you down in the streets because of it. Look at all the videos. 1999 to 2019, all right? So since the Patriot Act, you, the state employee, have become the terrorist. Nobody is free is allowed to tell you because they live a private life. They're free men walking around a bunch of slaves. This is what is happening in front of all of us. Our answers are in the law books because the law books, honestly, are based off the Bible. It's ecclesiastical law.
Now, I agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that. Because that's all
These people they're the Canaanites. She just read to you the Puritan leader was a Canaanite that went back to Europe, went back to the black man and said, "Stop Massachusetts from happening." It's believe it or not, I can't help how people feel about it. It's all biblical based on the Old Testament. The New Testament is just telling you that they're not respecting who your father is. You're in the same condition as the play written about as this person called Jesus. It's a Babylonian play out of the Babylonian Bible. Nobody died on a cross. I'm not trying to offend people's religious beliefs. But you got to look at Dum Diversus 1452. You can't sit there and steal land saying accept my God or die. But this is what our people used against our people.
Well, interesting conversation. Sis, my precious millennial, you have anything else you want to put on it?
No, I don't.
Perfectly.
Yeah, I just want to let Brother Lex know I do listen to him from time to time, and I agree with a lot of stuff that he says. But like y'all always say, fuck that. Brother Sean will tell you in a heartbeat, fuck that paperwork. And I'm not a big subscriber, to all this paperwork stuff because I've seen too many people, just end up in bad situations about it. And I just think freedom is all in your mind, and when you wake up in the morning and you wake what you got planned for your day and just keep it moving that way. Take care of your family, plant your vegetables and your food and drink your water and listen to your meditation music and relax and enjoy the show.
Indeed, sis. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I still say fuck that paperwork.
I knew you were coming in to say that. I know you was just letting the dialogue get through, but
we're prisoners of war. This is a colonial system. There's nothing about it lawful. Who do you take your paperwork to but the very people who colonized you? Bottom line is the whole system has to go. And you don't have to worry about this, that, or the other, or fitting within their legalities or their ordinances, because it's all bullshit. Absolutely. We're not slaves. We're prisoners of war. We've been colonized. We're still colonized. And they're attacking us on every level. Any type of paperwork that you submit to, you're keeping the system alive. You're an active participant. You consent to everything that's going on. Look at plenty of the Moors. They thought that they was doing their little paperwork shit, thought everything was going to be sweet, and everybody else was going to be fucked up. You know how many sheiks or grand sheiks or whatever the hell they want to call themselves that I know personally that's in motherfucking jail?
Free.
No matter what you claim, we're at war. And anytime they feel like it, they gonna bust you upside your motherfucking head, bust caps in you, whatever the fuck they want to do. Period. It don't matter what you call yourself. I ain't seen nobody be spared because of who they worship, what they call themselves, or nothing. When these colonizers hit all over the world, Everybody knew who the fuck they were. Wasn't nobody confused about who they were. And the colonizers weren't confused about who they were. They said, fuck that shit. You my bitch now. And they still trying to punk us like that. Long as you do paperwork, you submit to them. You're still asking them for something. And just because they stamp something on there, don't mean a goddamn thing, because they ain't honored not one motherfucking tree. They show you how they care about paperwork. They don't. They just use that to keep other motherfuckers in check. They don't abide by them rules. Ask Rockefeller. Ask one of the Rothschilds. Ask George Soros what the fuck he abide by. I bet you they ain't abiding by none of these laws. That shit they made to keep other motherfuckers in check. Well, shit that they use. But, you know, if people want to do paperwork, go ahead. I mean, you know, I guess it could keep them busy for a minute or keep y'all busy for a minute. But real shit happening while people putting in paperwork that don't really mean nothing in a system that's about to finish collapsing. The system is done for. And when we moving on, talking about rejoining the creator, creatress, you got to be on some higher frequency shit.
Mm-hmm.
And killing your brothers and sisters, the trees, to do paperwork on. You're killing the sentient being, gatekeepers, record keepers.
Right.
To put in paperwork. And one of the main things they wanted to get rid of when they got here was our brothers and sisters.
Were the trees. Yeah, a lot of them did leave.
The giant trees that we don't get to see no more. Just think about all the fruits that we never got to taste. You know what I'm saying? All the cures that now we got to find a way to come up with. Because it was just all over the place. Mama made sure we had everything. She is our sustainer.
Right.
It grows. We eat. It don't get much simpler than that.
Right.
You do your job. You look out for her. That's your birthright. That's your inheritance. The fact that you get to live good, you get to eat good. But all you got to do is take care of your mama and each other. But we want to bring all type of other fuckery into it. Money, paperwork. Motherfuckers want to own shit that they can't own.
Right.
You can't own my mama. Not one part of her. Don't nobody own shit. I don't own shit. Not a goddamn thing. But I'm willing to fight and die for my mama. So fuck what you heard about anything else. Ain't no play no more. We at war. I'm done.
Okay. Just shout out real quick to Purple Pill and GD Thompson 42 in the chat room. Purple Pill comes in and says gospel or God's spell. Salvation and redemption are the same term. Salvation is biblical. Redemption is commercial, but they are identical. GD Thompson 42. I agree with Brother Sean. Fuck the paperwork. Purple Pill. This is true. That is the true meaning of the Bible. Bible equals papyrus, i.e. paper. And then GD Thompson 42, our soul is at jeopardy. And then Purple Pill, that which is free cannot also be governed. And then G.D. Thompson 42, they make up the rules as they go along. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Brother 832. Sis, my millennial from Nevada, sweetheart, you're free to hang out or mute or whatever as well. It's totally up to you. I'm going to bring on Brother 832 real quick. Interesting discussion. Y'all know my stance. I say hold the paperwork up to the plasma. Explain it to the plasma. But here we go. Here's 832. Peace and love, brother.
Brother! Sandra! My sisters from other listeners!
Hey, brother. Brothers up, brother.
Paperwork and Fahrenheit 911. Burn it down. Sean, my brother from another mother on Mount Olympus, throwing them black blanket bolts down tonight.
Indeed, bro.
Watch out, bro. Sound like you fired up the Amazon, man. This shit's already burning. What is it, Sandra? 19,000 fires and shit. Before I forget,
bro. 18 plus.
Are you hip to Walter Mosley? You may remember him as Easy Rawlins' murder mystery. But there is one particular book, I'm not trying to pile another thing on you, Rhonda, but if you ever come across it, because I have had the hardest time to find a copy of it, it's called Blue Light. Blue Light. It is of the magnitude of, do you remember the novel series from Stephen King called The Stand?
Yes.
It is similar to that. One of the most powerful things, and I love Walter Mosley. I've read almost all of his Easy Rawlins, you know, the one that Denzel Washington did, Devil in the Blue Dress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Betty, Little Yellow Dog, you know, so for those who are listeners that are not familiar with Walter Mosley, a lot of his thematic story is Houstonian Negroes moving to Los Angeles. And in the case of Easy Rawlins, the detective, a lot of those brothers was in World War II. They got placed in the assembly line of the war machine, building the airplanes, the tanks, and the vehicles. You know, that's where a lot of the immigration with an E, as our brother Dane Calloway likes to say, of where many Texas Negroes moved west. But now Blue Light was it is hard to describe what it is. It's like sci-fi, astral projection, other level consciousness. There was a particular thing that came from some center, and this is like 20 plus years ago when I read the book. If I can get a copy of it again, I would love to either get the rights and make a movie of it, because this blue light that came from somewhere like in the center of the Milky Way, for example, irradiated planet Earth, and over 90% of the population either evaporated or died. Those that survived acquired certain levels of superpowers, if you will, telekinesis. One particular individual could commune with the sequoias. You know what the sequoias and the redwoods are? Giant trees, as Brother Sean referred to, that are already more than 1,000 years old. Somewhere around, was that Yosemite, Yellowstone? You know, Cali girl, Sandra, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. They had a issue
I know.
of dealing with a certain level of consciousness. And I'm rambling a bit here, but it's kind of encompassing a lot of what you said, you and Sean said tonight, Rhonda, about ascension. You know, to be to another level of existence. Now, no disrespect to Lex and the millennial sister. Love hearing your younger generation speak your mind. But a lot of what you have is ingrained. You know, ironically, that is a terminology from the tree. If you look at the grain, as Sean was trying to share with you, unfortunately, to read the rings means the tree was cut down, right? And it keeps a record of what we refer to in our limited experience as a time continuum. But what is time, actually? So when we discuss these things, these are all concepts, just like the Matrix. It is just one variation or form of a construct that is only in the mind of this limited being called man, mankind, human. I mean, which term are we going to use that's even more accurate? When we're still struggling on being oppressed by a and I don't say this to be denigrating. I'm saying it's possible they may be a kind of man. I don't know. To me, personally, the jury is still out. This so-called Caucasoid, Mongoloid, European/Asian, when there is a discussion right now, Robert, about how Tulsa is being revisited because of the Greenwood District. Have you heard the latest news stories on that? The Republican mayor is initiating a new murder investigation and has archaeologists and anthropologists looking for mass graves. Okay? Now, the problem for me is not the continued discussion of, and again, now the issue is it a riot or is it a massacre? Well, first and foremost, if you take the logic, Lex, of your conversation, the reason it was called a riot was to prevent insurance companies from paying people. What they knew was burned down, taken from them, and destroyed. Okay? A massacre is just a variation of the word murder, which has no statute of limitation, correct?
Right.
And
so
the Republican mayor of Tulsa has made that declaration that because there is no jurisdiction, no statute of limitation on murder, he is requiring government intervention into finding out what was the facts of this mass massacre. Now, of course, that doesn't take away the past. It doesn't bring those people back. But here's what's disturbing to me. We're continuing to discuss the despicable, evil, cruel behavior of the white lynch mob. What about the people whose lives were taken? What about the brilliance of the Greenwood existence? 35 blocks, 300 businesses, 2 theaters, 3 hospitals, their own bus service, taxi cab. Why is that story not? Rhonda, you know the point that I'm making. The story is not the indigenous people. Take another layer to it. We got a fabricated Pocahontas running for president. Known fraud. We know about the dog roll. We know about white people trying to claim to be something they can never be. The American Indian, not the Native American, because the Native American is a Mongoloid fraud.
Right.
And if you believe what they said, they're an immigrant that walked here. Right?
Right.
So you still from someplace else. Right? That does not make you the original inhabitant. However, when you start dealing with the facts of Oklahoma, all of those Aboriginal American Indians that were then misidentified as African slaves or freed, F-R-E-E-D, men and women. And here's the only issue I want to take up with you, Lex, about it is not an issue of freedom. Never has been about freedom. The issue is liberty. And you need to look up and understand the difference between the two. Liberty is to be at the ability to do what the hell I damn well please. I'm already free when the moment I draw breath and am born. My birthright is mine.
Brother.
My birthright is mine. It cannot be taken by paper, by man, even by death. But while I'm alive,
like that.
people
I've done nothing to any of it.
People contrive on my freedom. That is what prevents me from being at liberty. And that is what has been the issue for us from the day that these people invaded. The narrative is backwards.
Your own people invaded.
You are the colonizer. Your slave overthrew you. It's called an insurrection. They write it off as a massacre. I don't appreciate you raising your voice at me. I don't even appreciate you talking directly to me about that, because we all have the right to our own opinion.
I was not talking directly to you, Lex. I was only talking about an issue. The specific issue that I'm pointing out is about the difference between freedom and liberty, not about whatever you have to say.
And you stated I should look it up, and you started raising your voice. I'm not new to this, sir.
The decision that we have had taken from us as a people is based in the context of liberty. I could care less.
Then you should read a book and learn how to get it back. And that's the bottom line.
When you say get it back and make a reference to some piece of paper, that is what Sean keeps trying to tell you about. That is irrelevant. That is irrelevant.
Hey, when he comes to terms that his ancestors created this system, then it'll be settled. It doesn't matter if you keep getting mad that this is a paper war right now. Then pick up a sword and go fight your war. Go fight for freedom.
It is not
until
a paper war.
You got a driver's license?
We are in an issue of identity crisis.
You have insurance.
All of us who operate in this system have these documents that you're referencing, Lex. That doesn't make
so then the paper, then it matters.
Then
you getting on broadcast and these papers don't matter is hypocritical. Then burn those documents. Then resend those documents. Resend those documents.
On it does not make it valuable. As Sean has said, as I'm trying to explain to you, that does not dictate whether I'm a being, a live person. A piece of paper does not dictate that.
Nobody said that. Just like they said in the 70 Nations rule, these people made monsters out of men and turned monsters into men. I understand what you're saying.
Which people completely. Are you talking about? Again, you're giving authority to
obviously
who do not have authority, Lex. This is what I'm trying to explain.
Obviously they do. If they carry the gun, they have authority.
These beings that you're referencing, which it is still
No. You started referencing
where they came from.
Stop that. That's silly. You referenced this at the beginning of the conversation when you said the Caucasus and the Asian and the Mongol. So don't act like I'm referencing. You brought this stuff.
They are beings that are still. The jury is still out where the origin of these beings are. That's
it's not.
First.
It's not. Their DNA test shows they're from Central Africa.
They can't even tell you where they originated from.
Their DNA shows they're from Central Africa, and they came out of Africa and mated with the Neanderthals.
Based on what level of authority, Lex? You again are using the scholarship of these people to confirm where they're telling you they are from. There is no fact based on that.
There are melanated people that own and control DNA tests, especially in Atlanta. I can't think of the tribal DNA. That's not your enemy running the DNA test. That's them using the same mathematics that your enemy does. Okay? I understand your argument, but once we start studying it, it becomes biased. Black men are telling you through DNA tests you're European. I've broadcast that already. When the melanated woman reads, it says I'm European, and then she goes on to say, oh, the white people must have fucked through my family. And she has no idea about these books or this real history that's been inverted for us. Again, we did this to ourselves. We set it up so we can get out when we grow up. I can't help the way people view it, nor can I help that because I'm saying what I'm saying, that it's under attack. If we listen to this program again, an hour ago, Rhonda was saying the same thing to a degree without saying the titles of what we're talking about, because it's all about owning a business, and you are that business. And I'm not trying to put words in her mouth or misconstrue what she's saying. I just feel it's all the same because naturally we're coming to this evolution on all of our studies. That's why I'm here. Not because I agree the earth is my mother. clearly, I'm telling you, I believe in the Old Testament, not because somebody says the gospel, which has to do with the New Testament, and I've made plenty of videos, and half the viewers are going to say, oh, I've seen Lexwell's videos. So that's just putting words in my mouth. I have nothing to do with Christ or Jesus or the New Testament. I have to do with the law. And the law right now, it's on paper. And if we don't go back to our Creator and follow the law, we will burn with the paper in the plasma. That paper just gets a head start. Mm-hmm. Nothing more. It doesn't mean shit outside this system. But if everybody worships this system, it means something in their system. I'm not against you that you don't need the paperwork, but somebody's got to do it, and whoever does the paperwork becomes the king of that tribe. And people don't understand that. Because it's what these evil people keep telling you, as above, so below. If paperwork's king down here and we don't want to respect it, then paperwork's king up there and we don't want to respect it. And even if it says in the gospel that your name is to be written in this book, then people have to understand it's not by your own hand. If you look at Isaiah 44:5, you will subscribe your name unto the Creator. If you choose not to do this, you will burn with the heathen. Right. And this was always my warning. I can't do anything. Right. I can't change your heart. I can't change your mind with what they deem a reality that we created. They're just in control of our system. They're driving our car. You will become the tail. They will become the head. I saw the slaves on horseback, the prince walking on foot. I'm not against you. I told you last week, I fucking did this to you. I want out too. Who else did their ancestry that shows that they go back to England? I'm the only one that did it, and I'm the only one that broadcast it. That makes me the fucking filth.
No, I
doesn't make me some fucking good guy.
Back. That half of mine go back to England, so that's why I enter and understand the mixture and how the fuckery came into play. So, me personally, and I say again because I want folks to be clear where I stand. I hear and I get where you're coming from, Lex, with the paperwork and all of that. That's just something you and I don't agree on. I respect your views on the biblical aspect of it. Don't agree on that as well, but it's all cool and it's all good. I'm fine with that.
And may I point out just 3 simple facts. This has nothing to do with paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 1, carbon is the fundamental building block of Mother Earth. All life on it, plant, animal, mineral. Melanin is the fundamental building block of all what we call human beings. But the original creator of being has to be melanated, not depigmented. And third, this is from the so-called...
I don't even understand that. Is there anybody on the line that has said that the creator looks white?
You didn't let me finish. So that's why I didn't interrupt you. In all of the study of these so-called scientific evidence, as they claim, and again, they don't have any proof, but just from their speculation, all of the universe outside of the sphere of Mama Earth is made up of what? How many nines? 99 point how many nines, Rhonda, that they reference dark matter, did they not? And I remember the show that you talked about, it was a black female scientist who came up with the term that the so-called Caucasian scientific world still does not acknowledge her. That's kind of like Sophia Stewart creating the Matrix Terminator concept, right? That still is not being acknowledged, even if it has been won in a Supreme Court case. I only point out these examples to say it has nothing to do with paper. None of that. It has to do with biology, the fact, and the essence of life. Now, when we deal with that first and foremost, which was the point that I was getting to about the difference between freedom and liberty.
You bring up these topics like we agree. She wrote that book. That's on paper. That's what they stole from her. So I don't agree with that. I respect what you're saying. So please go on.
Her thoughts. Her thoughts
that's
were
the
in
same
her
thing
mind.
trust is.
These white people, so-called white Caucasian people, stole the document. Isn't that correct, Rhonda? Because that's what she had to fight a legal battle
script.
for 50
years.
It
was the script that they took.
And then they stole it and ripped it in half.
It was
they
a
created
book.
the
I talked to her.
half,
No offense.
I
talked to her herself.
Half, but they still do not have the original thought, which is her mind, not what's on paper.
I understand.
That was the reason why Matrix 4 is on the cusp right now. And as she said out of her own mouth in the latest interview, that Warner Brothers has already offered her $30 million for the script, and they still can't control her. See, this is the point that I'm making to you, that the paperwork does not control the being. She is the essence of who she is.
She won in court, right? Just like Dr. Sebi. Can we agree on that?
Because of their truth, not because of the court, not because of paperwork.
That's just fundamental. They won in court, right? Each of them.
Because of the truth and the essence of who they are.
What you're doing right now
See, you want to
argue
in a way.
I didn't argue. I just asked a straight question.
All right, gentlemen. Be fair. Be fair and civil.
I'm cool, but I'm saying just because he wants to raise an argument in a way to strengthen his position on paperwork does not. First of all, the pen is mightier.
That's what you're doing. See, what you're doing is you're ignoring my question because you feel you can cut off my argument, and that's not respectful, man. Because what you're doing is the people listening, they have opinions too, and whether me and you represent their opinion, you're denying someone, just like you feel when I cut you off, I'm denying you. Because it's true. If we don't respect each other, and I am the first to interrupt you, but you got to understand, you're stringing shit on. And you're saying these things like we're in agreement. I agree with half of what you're saying, not all of it. I have to be able to say, I agree with that part, I don't agree with that. Because I don't have the memory. I smoke a lot of weed, bro. I don't have the memory to go to separate what you say in 2 minutes.
Did you just blame it on Herb? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Respectfully, what the trust is, it's a living will. It's no more, no less. Putting your thoughts on paper so that if you ain't here tomorrow, your thoughts are to be fulfilled. Brothers and sisters, whether you agree with we're brothers and sisters or not, this is our custom. We are not some tribal.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. See, now, I did not interrupt you. Since you talked over me, I got to stop you on that point. Number one,
because it was
custom or tradition based on a people who are. Do we even have a date for it, Rhonda? Now, aren't we in millennia, eons, possibly a million years before the written word? So, what is the custom?
No,
is the custom only in what? What are we going to say? Kemet maybe was the first written ancient language, which is only 10 or 15,000 years ago. So no matter what context you want to talk about where you get the origin of paper, like you said, papyrus.
Where is the evidence that Kemet is the origin of writing?
I knew he was going there.
There is pictorial design there. A bunch of people that can't talk language yet because language has been separated since the Tower of Babel. So they're communicate picture.
No,
but you're
reverting back to a context, and you're not taking what I just explained. I just told you we had an oral tradition for millennia.
African. You can't be from the same place.
We had an oral tradition for more than millennia. Let me finish with this.
Go ahead, brother. Y'all lighten up my cue board. Go ahead, brother.
Because these are all facts.
Everybody
wants opinion.
We're all
excited. This is not opinion. This is fact. We were existent for millennia, maybe hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of years before the so-called written record. We have a tradition that is oral for hundreds of thousands of years. And before that, as Sean has tried to say, before we reverted and de-evolved, we had mental telepathy and made things through manifested thought, right, Rhonda? So that has nothing to do with a paper record.
No offense, man.
It has nothing to do with a paper record. This is not.
You can't keep saying right to these people and like that's the evidence.
Okay, I respect people's opinions, but you have to have
because of its antiquity, Lex. That does not.
No, the whole world does not agree that we had mental telepathy.
Before people dug up or did archaeological research to confirm it, it still does not dismiss it existed. And the reason we existed, and I'll part on this. Okay?
No, please don't
part.
part.
The reason we existed.
No, y'all gonna wrap this up. Shoot.
he hit on something huge on Tulsa. I promise you, everything is wrapping up with Tulsa, especially the HBO Watchmen going back to Tulsa. That's what I actually want to talk to him about. He is a major piece to this right now, and I don't disrespect. I'm not in any way trying to disrespect. I'm trying to argue the point. That's all. Because
no. It's all good. It's all good. So here's what we're gonna do. Tulsa is gonna be the topic. I'm giving y'all 10 minutes, 5 minutes apiece, starting with you, Lex.
Absolutely.
Starting with you, Lex. No interrupting each other. Tulsa is the topic. 5 minutes. Lex, start.
Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to yield. Okay. I'd like you to bring the topic Tulsa back up if you'd like to, and I'd like her to hit the phone calls because I've said everything that I can possibly say on the topics that we've talked about that's reasonable within the time constraint. Other than that, it's just burning time.
That's fair. So, Brother 832.
And I enjoy every time you call. I'm muting myself.
Yeah. 832 is he's the truth for real. Very, very respected. I respect the brother. So, Brother 832, you want to take your 5 minutes before I go to the other caller, or are you good?
I will start with this. She dropped a bomb on me, baby. She dropped a bomb on me. Greenwood, Archer, Pine. For those who are illiterate that don't understand, that means gap band. And when we don't understand things like that, when we don't know our true story, which a lot of times it is not written. In the case of Greenwood Business District of Tulsa, Oklahoma, it was purposely gone and stripped by the state of Oklahoma, the city of Tulsa. They have now admitted that they tried to write these people out of existence. And why did it not succeed? Because the essence of who we are and always have been cannot be destroyed. Melanin is an immutable substance. It is in connection with the cosmos in dark matter. It is a connection in Mama Earth with carbon, which is the point I was making about those three base substances of elements of the entire existence of everything, literally. And when it existed for millennia, as in the case of this particular business district and these indigenous autochthonous people, when they were left to their own devices, they were so much in excellence that the terror, fear, envy, and cruelness of these people began to be exhibited to the degree where they used airplanes, nitroglycerin, and turpentine balls. And by the way, the father of the great historian, John Hope Franklin, was one of the survivors as a lawyer who talked about how he saw this rain down death on the brilliance of only one out of how many hundreds of black enclaves that we had exclusive control and creation of our own existence, and that is the difference between liberty and freedom. And I yield.
All right.
Can I say something real quick?
All right, brother. You really forfeited your 5 minutes, but you got to, because he left you with 2 minutes. So go ahead, Brother Lex. So we wrapping this discussion 2 minutes. Go ahead, brother.
This is what I want to say. You brought up the two kinds of things, the murder and something else. And what did you say, brother? It was the murder of the people, or the what? When they found the bodies.
The massacre was based on envy and jealousy. That's basically what it was. Envy and jealousy.
So what I need people to understand is to look up the definition, and I'm not saying that in an insulting way, but insurrection. All right. Now, in one of the last broadcasts I did, I showed insurrection means that they overthrow. That means you're in charge. Number two, I want to bring out is HBO is showing everybody that Bass Reeves. We have to understand if he is the Lone Ranger, if he's the first sheriff, he's a black man catching white men. It's being told to you in reverse. And the third thing I wanted to say, I forgot the third
That's
thing.
the herb kicking in.
No,
I shouldn't say that.
It's
all good.
Let's smoke a bowl right now. But these things are really important in the context of what's going on across the country. Oh, here it is. Again, if you are in control of a community and you have a connection to Europe, a slave is not going to be able to order equipment to make shoes, to press things. So we have to understand that our people made these cities, and I can't concentrate with that background. I don't know what's going on back there.
I know. I don't know who it is. I thought maybe it was you. So somebody has to mute their line if you have us on speaker, because it's really distracting. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Lex.
All pieces of industry we were ordering from Europe, and this place, the industry took off because of what we did. And I'm gonna stop there. Again, I don't have any argument against you. It's against the system.
Indeed. Okay, well, thank you, Brother 832. I truly appreciate you. And believe it or not, I do appreciate the discussion between the two of you. So thank you so much, brother. Peace and love. Our millennial sent a shout out to you from Nevada. She wanted you to know that she started watching Black Lightning. She took your advice and started watching it. So peace and love, brother. Okay.
And in all respect, and sorry to anybody that's might be, feeling negative thoughts about this. Me. I really don't know anybody, so I don't have any connections to it.
It's all good. We got it together. No worries whatsoever. Everybody comes with their own systems of opinion and belief. So that's cool. All right, so we are going to go to 775. Oh, hold on a second, y'all. I'm trying. Oh, I think your line, 775, your line is open. 775. Okay, I'm assuming maybe you pressed it by mistake, so I will put you back on mute. Okay. All right, 775. All right, let me bring back in 646. I see you, sweetie. I see where you raised your hand again.
Yes,
646
peace and
line is
love.
open. Peace and love. And thank you for coming back in, because I can't tell if it's from the last discussion if you don't do it again. So cool.
Yeah, because I noticed that I was left in, and I came in and went back out, and came in and went back out, and came in and went back out, but it was all good.
Yeah, this is the first time it's showing up as new, but anyhow.
And, yes, and I love that live discussion, and that brings full circle how I knew that the reflections and the distortions in the reflections does have the thing where I said where we're at versus where we are. So where we at is involved in a system that we have claimed as being so authoritative that we need to be a part of it. And being a part of it means the paperwork, because it's artificial, and the whole patriotic takeover, coming down from the whole black nobility thing. And if you read King Charlemagne, I don't know if there's probably a lot of different authors, but we have one particular author who shares about his doing war to take land and sharing it with the Pope to get the approval of them, but not to give them authority. He still wanted the authority to be with the crown. But more importantly now is that the higher level, the higher dimensions, and, I just thank Brother 832 for he always brings that in and raises that level. I love it. And, Sean is always consistently sitting on it, so we don't have a problem there at all. And, Brother Lex, we hear you loud and clear.
Indeed.
And again, though, the thing is that where we are is really on the higher level, and the relationship to what 832 was referring to, what's her name, Sophia, and that thought matter. So when you talk about above as below, yes, we do write above, but we don't need the pen. See, above is brings that when we come down to these forms and we put worship in these forms, the pen is not anything. And the paper and the words as a form, they're not anything. They reduce to whatever. The essence is the thoughts behind all that comes from on high.
Can I ask you a question?
And yes.
Have you ever heard of Mozart?
Mozart, yes. You're talking about a musician, right? Fine?
Yes. What did he look like? Do you know?
No, I have no idea what he looked like. I heard of him. I heard of his music.
He's a free Britain man. He's living in Germany, so he's not from Britain, but he's a Moor. He's black. He's what we call black. He's melanated. So could you imagine every time? Can I say something that's kind of foul and nobody be offended?
We'll try.
Go ahead.
I know that.
But thank you for asking us. Go ahead. Let it rip.
Right. Listen, so I just created some beautiful music, right? Okay, so what is the next step for me? I just played it in front of everybody. What is everybody going to shower with me with? Come on, anybody.
Applause. Is that what you're saying? Applause?
Absolutely not. Let's see.
Wait a minute.
So it's individual. It's an individual.
He is a 16th, 15th century rock star. Rap star, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the more he gets action, the more he's going to drink, the more he's going to smoke, right? And how is his songs going to be passed on for generations? Only by writing them down. No difference than I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead. You're calling me. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm not sure of the complete relevance, but have you ever saw the movie Clockwork Orange?
Sure.
They took Mozart and other highly, and most of these what they call classic music writers they all melanated in the first place, but they covered that up. But they took it and turned it into a psychological thing that made monsters out of normal, peaceful beings. But that's just an offshoot. But that's just an offshoot. Pardon?
Aren't they barbarians?
Well,
they are barbarian pirates.
This is the question. That this is your argument earlier was, but don't you know these are us? This is we who doing this to us. So are they barbarians? I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
She read from the book a few weeks ago that these are barbarian pirates that went up against Britain, and they lost because of the English Navy. So that means the barbarians wouldn't have a writing language, and they wouldn't have written for thousands of years anything. That means you, the British, or the English, or the American Indian, would have had a writing system. They're borrowing all your stuff.
See, that's where I'm getting ready to lead to share with you something.
Right on.
In reference to this whole concept thing that we have, in reference to the importance we putting in science and books and written material. Well, when we really look at it, there are old map writers, right? And there's a video that was sent to me regarding the Antarctica. And the old map, not only the one map writer, but others that concurred with what was there and those things that scientists, quote unquote, they call themselves scientists, were claiming were extinct and claiming there was an ice age over there. Yet, according to the map and according to the name of the place on the map, and it's it's a name before they changed names. These things that were claimed to be extinct for millenniums were not extinct at all. And they still had fossils, and they still had fisheries account on separate research to verify their study concerning the map, where they had fishes catching a certain type of fish that was claimed to be extinct so long ago. So that's to say thumbs down on what they call science today. And that goes back toward the whole thought 832 brought up on the dark hole. So, on the dark matter and the black hole. And then, as I say, when we start digging into the truth of what is, and we realize where we're at, and we even look at the book that we're reading this night, that this series is really about. And if we see how much we have to keep reading in between the lines to pull out truth, and how even a lot of the things that we do pull out still become questionable and need to be the jury need to be out for further research, further study, further examples. So I say all that in regard to you're talking about reading and writing. See, far as I know, the hieroglyphs were written, and before that, other writings took place, and before that, language was spoken, and before that, and when you look at a whole lot of studies on linguists, if you actually read what they break off as the origins and all that nonsense, where they tie it into their thing. And when I say they, I'm talking about those who wanted to build this patriarch as the highest order, which could never be. And when we talk about going back to the Creator, right? Well, far as we know, the Creator is the womb down here on the manifest. Right. All right, and then on a higher level, it's the thought. Huh?
Where exactly do we learn that at?
From life itself, and if we can't learn it from there, we got to study ourselves some more. But the man can't study himself because he never produced a child. Can he? He can't find it. So then we have to ask our mother. Ma, I came through you.
Hold on, man.
We're about to go into overtime. Just real quick, we're about to go into overtime. So if 929-477-3858, if you want to keep joining us. If not, thank you to my sis Millennial. Thank you to G.D. Thompson 42 you. Kadea039, shout out to Purple Pill. And Purple Pill is throwing a lot of as you all are talking, so I'll get to them. But go ahead.
May I do some housekeeping?
But thank you to everybody in the chat. If you're not going to join us in overtime, it is much appreciated. Sorry. Go ahead.
May I do a little
housekeeping?
Before you go
a lot of times I get cut off when they cut the chat off. I don't know why. But
can you hear me here?
Yes.
Somebody's typing. Who's typing?
Oh,
trying to keep track.
I'm straight guilty of that. That's me. That's a damn shame.
Oh.
I'm not typing now. I was in the chat room, going back and forth. I apologize if I was being disrespectful.
Oh, okay. I'm like, are we being recorded or something? Somebody's picking.
I apologize for being disrespectful, y'all. Okay, sis.
Hey, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So
you had made a statement, and I asked you because of the statement. Okay, you said babies come from women, right?
Through the womb. Yes.
Okay. We know that. I heard you the first time. Now, when we look at trees, where does a tree come from?
The womb of the earth.
I'm sorry?
The womb of the Mother Earth.
Okay, so I think you're being kind of biased. We all know a seed. It starts with a seed, and if you're going to be biased, then the conversation is just ruined. I respect.
Explain my bias.
Excuse me. I respect that you
have
an opinion, but if you're going to not be reasonable, there's nothing that we've ever learned. We don't even teach our children trees grow from the womb of the earth. You're being biased. Now,
no. Could I share something with you?
If trees come
before you go on, because you're making an accusation.
I'm making
right,
an accusation.
And let me just let you know where I'm coming from. There's a lot of things we don't and have not taught our children for a long time, and especially after 1983. All right, but when I talk about the higher level and we talk about the lower level, see, the trees and the earth are on the higher level. So the same way the pen is on the lower level with the paper and the writing, all right, on the higher level with Mother Earth, her insides are just like the womb of the woman. As above, so below. That was my thing, not to be biased, not to be unreasonable, but to start opening up our perception so that we can start looking at things from every angle, not just from any one angle.
Seed of the tree has to fall from the tree, and then it mates with the earth. You know that, I know that, children know that.
Say that again, because I missed that.
And when I talk about the pen, I'm not saying above the earth or below the earth. I'm saying
no.
No.
Give me the thing on the tree again, because you said everybody know it. I don't.
Bro, for real. There's a lot of other people listening. So if I say, hey, bro, hold on. If I sit there and state from my own mouth, as above, so below, and I state it with paper, that has to do with things written on paper, as I stated before. Not taking my comment and making it into something else. Again, where do trees come from?
I said the womb of Mother Earth, and you said something else that I should know. I'm asking you to repeat it.
It comes from the seed. The seed falls from the tree, the previous tree, and once it gets to the earth, a combination happens, something of that nature. The same thing that we call conception. So it's either one or the other, man. Either the earth is producing stuff itself, or the seed produces with the earth. Now, again, if you're a man and you carry seed, you already know the child comes from you. So these things that you're saying sound irrational.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see the argument. You can hold that argument, and I respect that.
Where do babies come?
But just don't.
Where do babies come from?
I tell you that the science is non-science. They and a lot of things we hold on to and we'll fight and die for, and but that's our truth. That's the individual opinion truth. And I gave mine not to be biased. Okay, I gave mine not to be biased. But you should not be biased as well. You can hold your opinion about that. All right, but I know that it's even there's a fable of mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Have you ever heard that?
Have I heard what?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
Don't you understand that's what your birth certificate bond is saying?
I'm not born on a birth certificate.
All right,
the birth certificate didn't come until 1933.
How old are you?
I was born in 55.
So you have a birth certificate. So you have a document that shows.
Yeah, there's one. It ain't mine. It was
you have a document that shows you were from a kingdom that was overthrown.
That's what your interpretation is. That's not mine.
The law's interpretation. I didn't create the law book.
You believe in the scripture? Read Daniels, the book of Daniels, from the beginning to the end.
You know the scripture? Then you know a man ordered the earth to open up and eat another man. So the earth takes orders from man. I don't know what you're talking about, man. It's all right, Mom. It's all right.
All right. So 6'4",
in any event,
brother.
But I did just want to add something about the book. All right.
Yeah, the book's not real, right?
If I may.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right. On the opening of the book, where you were talking about that 7-year thing, and about the loud bankruptcy, and
right.
It immediately came to my mind that wow, there should be a scriptural connection to that as well, as Sandra should be up on.
It is.
And yeah, in reference to the 7-year thing. And on the other thing, when you went to where she was talking about the 3 types of enslavement, and when she talked about the imported African, not only to mention the fact that we had the quote-unquote white from Africa as well to be included in that whole concept. And in terms of the prisoners of war, I like that she brought out that point about the Jesus said so we can do it. In terms of the willing servants outside the colony, well, we look at the account of somebody like Nat Turner, who was fighting not to be a willing servant. We can look at others that might fall in line with that movie 12 Years a Slave, where they kidnapped and forced a willing servant. But, those are just some of the things. Now, also on one of the pages you mentioned something about family government, right?
Yes.
Now, in connection with that concept, right, when King Charlemagne was in operation and he was trying to go by the books that were formed to get back to how they should worship, he found that you couldn't even express the ideas without the lost language and the pagan, quote-unquote, pagan languages. Now, long ago, they didn't think of pagan in a negative way. they respected it, and they knew the difference. And he knew he had to get the scripts from them to try to figure out how to do whatever they done. This is what the author was pointing out in King Charlemagne, the things that he had to do to crystallize communication and make even their clergy and church relationship work, where the people could formulate proper concepts and communicate them. Even the ones, especially the high priests and stuff. Now, the other thing is, now when you went to when you was talking about that woman and the queen and how upset she was, and even though y'all talked about she could have been indignant over the idea that she had a contract and who was this, but it sounded more like, to me, what she was upset about was the fact of that she was arrogant and concerned that women had such power. And she probably, who knows what she did to get hers. You know,
that's another angle. That's another angle.
And then in terms of the whole concept again, remember, our original is the matriarch. This system was bringing in the patriarch. So those differences, that's where, you know, the whole lot of confusion comes in.
Because that's where it started. I say the first wars were between man and woman. So, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yes.
No, that's all right, because we need that, because I'm just sharing some observations as you're reading, and how inside the book, while they writing, they're presenting, and these are most of the books that we read. Now, I've read plenty of books in my days, and there are books that when you reread them today, if you got a good memory, you'll find out somebody authored them. All right? So and that's another major problem, but that's part of the 1984 situation. What I think it's Orson Orwell what he was talking about.
Oh yeah.
And all the double speak that's taking place now, and how quick we forget, and all that nonsense. Well, that was more like a prediction and who knows, an instruction pamphlet, or what you call those things where you know how to cook the cake. What you call them? Not a menu.
Ingredients.
Recipe, like a recipe. Yeah. So it's very interesting, but it's so true how things got turned around. And I always throw up that when I took the fundamentals of business class in prior to 83, it taught you that you find a need and satisfy it. That meant look at your market, see what they need, and provide the service that they need. After 1983 and 1984, the fundamental taught create a need and satisfy it. That meant tell somebody they dying, they need this poison, and sell it to them. So there's no illusions about, when I keep saying where we at versus where we are, and that higher and where we got to get back to. Now, I know for a fact that in the process of going back, it's like if you lost something, you got to backtrack to get to it. Whether you lost your memory, whether you lost your watch, whether you lost your way down a road, you have to backtrack to get back to a point where you know before you can begin again. Now, somebody else put it this way. In order for us to really take in something new, we have to unlearn what we learned.
excuse me.
The scriptures put it like this: you got to come to me like a baby, be born again. So a lot of this stuff, the way it comes, we have these different interpretations, but there is an art to it all and a way to look at them. But anyway, those are just some of the things on what I picked up before we start into the paperwork and inheritance and all that.
Yeah. No worries. Well, thank you for coming back in, Brother 646.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
And Brother Lex, I appreciate you too.
Yeah, I'm trying to
read the love.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, can you hear me? Okay, so look, you said something that was very interesting. Now, you had said just like a minute 30 ago, you said something about the people of one land, patriarch, the people of this land, matriarch. Now, again,
yes.
The whole time you're talking about books, right?
Say again?
The whole time you're talking about books, correct? Or partially you're talking about books, right? So what comes to my memory is if anybody is in front of a computer and they can type in on Google, America being the latest description of the New World, and they look on the images and see the cover, they will see the melanated Indians carrying,
quote unquote, India is across the water, but go ahead.
Bro, don't do that. Come on.
I have to.
They got feathers in their hair in the image, man. You're just...
Okay, all right. So, okay. Indians, indigenous to the land, aboriginals. Okay, so go ahead, Brother Lex.
The du jour people are hoisting up two white men in chains, carrying a boat, which is hoisting up a black woman at the peak of the pyramid. So
wait a minute, Lex. Give me that reference, because I'm going to pull that picture, because I want to see it. God damn it, you can't brush that past the sister. Don't think I'm going to look it up. What again?
America.
That sounds like the Statue of Liberty.
Bro, hold on 1 second, sir. Let me just give her this title, and then you go with the statue thing. America being the latest, greatest description of the New World.
Okay, go ahead. I got it.
Sorry about that. And I respect what you're saying, man. And you bring so many points. It's just to have access to each point, because some I very much so agree with, but for different reasons. Again, this land is lost to us because of the rulership. England is lost to us because of the rulership. So I just encourage people to keep these things in mind. If we're the rulers, it's our documentation, whether we want to argue about paper or not. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have added that. I mean, I am saying go ahead the whole time I'm talking, so that's kind of biased or bigoted. Sorry to be a bigot. Go ahead, sir.
Damn, this picture, I have seen this picture many times.
Describe it.
I know you've seen this picture. When you get a chance, I'm going to reread it. I know you've seen this picture, Brother 646. So I'm going to say it back for the audience and also you, Brother 646, because I know y'all done seen this before. Those of us that study and research, et cetera, America being the latest and greatest description of the New World. Just Google that. Damn, yeah.
But can I go ahead?
Right.
Let me come in for a second. This book cost $57,400 in 2016. There's only 3 original copies.
One copy's in, I believe, New York in a museum where somebody turns the page for you. I believe the other copy is in Nevada where somebody turns the page for you. You know, they wear the white gloves.
Right.
You can get a reprint, okay? Now, if you look for Abe books, you can get a reprint. My wife has a copy. I have a copy. So I have 2 copies in the home. This tells you, I mean, there are so many. The whole book is a gem. It's written by us for us. It tells you when the colonists arrived, when the conquerors arrived, everybody looked like Ethiopians. Now, if you know Amos 9 and 7,
yes.
O Israel, how you look like the Ethiopians unto me. So, how'd they find the land? Through the Bible. In fact, you should do this book. It means more that you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it, brother. That's why I wanted it.
No. I have 2 copies. If you'd like a copy, I can easily send one to whatever address or P.O. box you prefer.
Okay, because you know I like to buy my books. If I can buy it, I'll buy it. So, but I'll holler at you. Is it okay for me to take down your number?
Oh yeah.
Sister, you want to borrow $57,000?
I'm not getting ready to pay no $57,000. That's for damn sure.
As I stated, you can buy reprints. My book costs $33. My wife's book costs
I'll buy the reprint.
For the work that you've done, I can hand this book to you through the mail, just like people have handed me books. 2 copies. This book is as thick as my forearm. 2 copies does me no good. Soon we will never use cars again. So, I can't carry 2 books and then other books. So you can have
right. Okay, thank you. That's sweet, brother. So, can
precious,
I put something on it to both of you brothers? This is my take, and this is also to my brother 832. So now this is my take on all of the discussion. Because I've said this before, and I don't know if people didn't enter and understand what I was saying. There is a reason that melanated people are mixed with these different bloodlines. So meaning the European bloodline, and folks in the chat, shout out to them, were also saying when they trace their heritage back, it traced back to Europe as well as the Americas, like I suspected most of us would that take the time. There is no accident that those bloodlines are mixed. It's for the purpose of cleaning up all of the drama that has gone on, and I totally 1,000% agree with Lex on the track that we did this to ourselves, because if you are mixed with that bloodline, then you are supposed to be taking responsibility for what your ancestors, and I'm going to say my ancestors, have done. Okay, the point of this whole thing, and the reason why we're putting together all of this information, and the reason why we have different views, but at the end of the day, we're really saying the same thing. We're just giving a different path to get to the same thing, but it's to clean it all up. At the end of the day, each individual, you are responsible when you hit that spark of knowledge to uncover these things, to clean up your bloodline, to break that curse. And part of that breaking of the curse is to take the ownership. Like, damn, all of this fuckery went on, this warring and this coming over here, conquering, and my indigenous folks laying up and marrying with the conquerors and striking deals with the conquerors, and my bloodline writing the particular corporate government charters on this land. To me, that is what those of us that are having these conversations tonight, those of the listeners on this show, on Brother Lex's show, and then I'll even send out to Brother Kalai's show, Brother Will Kapoor's show, Brother Seven Bomar's show. It's to clean up the fuckery at the end of the day. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it, and I still appreciate all of the conversations we had tonight. And I do want to thank each one of you brothers. But from my perspective, these things have to happen, but it starts with self, with individual responsibility to clean up yourself, clean up your household, your bloodline, to break the curse. So I'll yield on that. Brother 646, did you have anything else?
Yeah, just to add on the concept of self, I will just bear witness to give testimony that the spirit in which we as individuals move, we are taken. And I have seen such respect for the knowing and the being that went without paperwork. And on that, I say peace.
All right. Peace and love, brother 643. Peace and love. All right, brother. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Sis Sandra.
No, that was actually me. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dang, did you puff a little bit? You went up a high octane or two. Go ahead, Brother Lex. My bad.
That's my begging voice.
Yeah, my bad. Go.
Here's my opinion. And I'm not trying to insult anybody, nor have I from the first place. It is obvious to me, the people that sit there and say, I'm going to get my paperwork done, is the Judite. It's obvious to me that people say paperwork ain't shit, is the de jure aboriginal. There's no other way. It's based on your mind. We all know we're intermixed with each other. Very few of us intermixed with the people that forced insurrection. They usurped us. That's all it is.
The quote-unquote Caucasians, right?
Well, you see, the Caucasians are from the Caucasus Mountains. Again,
right.
Type in, I don't mean to say again, I don't know if we talked about type in Anthony
No, it's
Bourdeaux.
all good.
Type in Anthony Bourdeaux. When he had his opening in Texas, he said, no white people. White people genetically, like Joe Rogan, he did his DNA test. He is an African. He's got Neanderthal in his blood. He tells everybody. It's a 4-minute video. No.
Yeah, and shout out to him for being honest.
You blood test any average man, black man, through a black company, and you're going to find out he's European. You blood test any white man with you're going to find out he's either from the Caucasus Mountains, which means Siberia, past those mountains, Turks, Mongolians over through the Asians. There's no such those people you look at. Asians look like you, with they just look like you. They're not you. They look like you. They've been overthrown in all the barbarian books. That's what Genghis Khan was. Africans are believe it or not, the people of India are Africans. They're related to the white man. Hence, if you just slap the coat of paint on a white man, when he goes blackface, he looks like the Indian, the Hindu Indian. Those are the Hamites. Look in the Bible dictionary. Who is the children of Ham? The dark races, not the Negro. Why did they specifically say not the Negro? Because you're the Shemite.
You're the race of Jacob. You're the race of Ephraim. Actually, you're the race of Ephraim. The mentality of I ain't got to do no damn paperwork. Ephraim, and there and say, come it. Don't you know Ephraim was born and mixed with the Hamite that he was allowed to mix with? You're the son of Joseph. He mixed with the Queen of Africa. He never viewed himself as a king. He viewed himself as a shepherd. He was a linguist. So when people sit there and say these Kemet things, they have no idea that this Kemet is not really what it seems. Remember, we've been insurrection, Star Trek insurrection. So these people pay people to look like us to say, we're African. And we're fucking not, because the DNA, goddammit, just said it's not.
Right.
So, you believe the motherfucker on the corner saying, yo, nigga, we African? Or do you believe
that's true. That's true.
The mathematics of DNA, because again, if you look at this tribal DNA service that's out of Georgia, Rome, that is ran by a black man. Now, you got your choice. These books and DNA.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. You said the melanated / black man that runs the DNA test is out of Rome, Georgia?
Well, no. Georgia is Rome.
Okay, go ahead. All right. I'm with you. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Romans, okay, if you watch my videos, the Romans are intermingled with the tribe of Jacob. They came here as prisoners. From the insurrection of Europe. They were enslaved, and that's what happened with freemen. They were enslaved to their cousins, the English. When the English were overthrown, the insurrection, that's later after the slavery. Again, the white man was enslaved the whole time until he usurped. So the usurp happened in different areas. The one that where we're talking about now is Tulsa. This is a second time because you've reorganized yourself and you're making more money than the corporation. So they start dropping bombs on you to reduce you to ashes.
There you go. Now, in the defense, that's the point I made last week, that those bombs were dropped because the melanated / blacks could not rise back up and take over the corporation. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
32 million a year means they've already risen back up in 30 years. They've taken the country from the center of you marched me into the center of the country as a slave, and I just economically dominated you, but I don't have a military. And my territory is based on a treaty. Remember, they marched us into that area, treaty-wise. So they feel they have, again, if they're building these businesses, it's all based on what? Business. So they had to put themselves in the, now think, right after they bomb us, they start the goddamn birth certificate.
Right.
Damn. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Excellent point.
Colonization again.
Financial power together again.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to argue over, this is really kibbles and fucking bits. Again, with this paperwork, you can go to fucking Antarctica and no man can fucking say you can't. You're sovereign. You are walking king. I need everybody that can hear me to understand.
It's just like the New Testament when Jesus says that the slave is owned by his master until the master lets him go. And so what you're saying is we got to find a way to let ourselves get out.
No. We devised this.
That's right.
Yeah, we did.
Lincoln said, we can't do this to our own people and these people anymore. Made a animal a man and turned men into animals. That's what the 70 Nation Agreement says, right? That's
right.
what
reverse everything.
And so then, again, you're not going to come out of slavery and then go into politics because you've been taught not to read and write or I'll kill you, right?
Right.
Think about what was taught to us. They did this to you. It's all reverse. We
It
beat
is.
the living shit out of
Everything's reversed.
It
is reversed.
You know, so look when you see the goofy, pale white guy with an afro. It's all going to jog your memory. If we share joint memories, that's what I saw when I was in Kentucky. It was a guy so pale. I thought he was Caucasian. And he turned around and he had an afro. And he said, what the... And you got to understand, if you agree with the Bible, that Bible says leprosy. If you agree with the Bible dictionary, they are from the darkest nation of the world, not the Negro, and they experience leprosy. And again, I'm not trying to ruin your channel or anything. That's what skin patches are on people. When you see a layer of patch, a layer of tan, and you already know it should be one person. The person should be like dipped, right? Their skin should be one pigment. When you see it look like land, like beaches, it looks like topography. That's a sign that historically that family experienced leprosy. That's telling you that is
That's deep.
We brought the Canaanites on the land when we knew the law not to. That's why we're in this condition. Now, just like their prophecy in the Planet of the Apes, when you bring the beast man and let him multiply in your cities, he'll turn it into dust. Now, America will turn it into the sands of Africa. And you still got melanated people saying, I'm African. I'm enslaved 400 years.
Yeah, that's just fuckery to the highest. I don't want to down people. Let me be fair. If you feel that you're from Africa, that's your business. But make arrangements to take your ass back. So to be fair, if that's what you feel, make arrangements. But to make that assumption without just doing any hint of research, and when people want to bring to me Pangea, they'll throw that shit up in your face. Pangea and Kemet, no. Let's start back. You give me fucking 5 generations of your ancestors on both sides, paternal and maternal. Then come talk to me. But people don't want to face those realities, just like I had to make the opening statement saying that this is going to be a very painful series because it's going to bite on both sides. It's going to bite on the /black side because the fact don't want to be faced that we did the shit to ourselves. And then on the Caucasian side, the fact don't want to be faced that you didn't own anything. You didn't rule really any kingdoms. You ruled a little bit over in, quote, quote, what they're calling Africa today. But for the most part, you came from poor origins. You were the indentured servants /slaves/slaves on the planet. Neither side wants to face that truth and facts. And to me, a part of being spiritually mature, whether or not the Bible is your point of reference, your source of belief, or if it's spirituality. If you do not want to spiritually be mature and face those truths, it is what it is. Keep wondering. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was brilliant. I mean, you said 5 generations. I mean, you are like that's why I'm here. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Hi, Sean.
Hey, what's going on?
Sean been in the cut, and we've been cutting the hell up. Yeah. Go ahead.
I just look at it like in breaking the bloodline curses and atoning for what we did.
That's right.
We have to admit
yes,
that this paperwork, these contracts, which is magic, which is spells, because people believe things simply because they're written. People's whole mindset about who and what they are has been changed because of what's been written. It was outlawed and forbidden for us to know so that we didn't know what was being done to us. And by the time that we were permitted to learn, their program was already in place as far as for what we would learn. Everything you need to know is in your DNA. We keep talking about bloodlines, but how many are actually able to go within?
It starts with self.
And receive that message from higher self, the creator, or whoever the higher being is that you choose to worship.
Right.
Where is your direct connection? The information that you get is not going to be the same information that everybody else gets. You got a different path, a different bloodline. Everybody got different shit they got to atone for. So there is no one right answer for everybody. The only right thing for everybody is the truth. And everybody's truth, just like everybody's perspective, is different.
I got a question.
Go ahead, bro.
Now, Sophia Stewart has been brought up. She is the writer of a book that was broken in half. And half of it was used to create the Matrix. The other half was just to create the Terminator.
And I just real quick point out what her last name is and who that ties to?
Go ahead.
Stewart.
Yes, ma'am.
Stewart is King James's mother's maiden name. So just want to put that out there. Go, Brother Lex. Continue. Right, go.
So this is the nicest way I can put it. We're in a fictitious system, right or wrong?
Correct.
So all I'm going to say is in that movie, The Matrix, wasn't every single baby connected?
Yes.
The only thing that connects us all is the birth certificate. Here's my question. How did they come out of the Matrix?
You mean how when Neo pulled the cord, right?
Okay.
Right? Ain't I right?
So
out the back of his skull, which is the key to your higher consciousness. But yeah, okay.
here's the key, right? Remember you were saying like how what's that connect to? Remember how you were talking about
the dubla obligatum? Yeah.
About the third eye, right? You were like, how's that connect to the spine and all that stuff? That's what they're interfacing with, right? So, was there more than one way out of the matrix, or was there only one way out? Remember, he's an adult in a cocoon, full of gel, right?
Right.
How does he get into the real world? It's only one way, right?
When he took the red, he chose the red or blue pill. Is that what you're referring to?
Okay. Sure. The whole thing, there is no. The red and blue pill just start that sequence. The whole thing is the pulling out of the system. It's actually him getting flushed out. And being picked up by the Nebuchadnezzar. Right? No, wait. It's the Osiris. Or wait, what is the ship called?
Shit, I didn't forget. Let me Google.
What Sophia is trying to tell us. There's only one way out of it.
But I gotta. No, you were right, Nebuchadnezzar. You were right about the ship. The ship.
Right.
Okay, but I gotta put something on it though.
Go ahead.
You're talking in the content of the paperwork, and the movie is depicting the spiritual contact of disconnecting from the matrix. So disconnecting your mind or your gateways or your portals from the matrix in order to get to higher information realm to truly come into the knowledge of self. So that's what the whole, him being the one and all of that jazz. But so I did want to just throw that out there now, because that movie, I hear what you're saying, because what you're describing is the physical manifestation of paperwork it starts from a spiritual level, because if your mind is not of the mindset that you have to disconnect, no amount of paperwork will do the trick. And I've always stated to people, if you're going to do paperwork, and sis and Brother Sean, stop me if I'm lying, I always state, if you are going to do paperwork, you are supposed to be doing it yourself, because it's supposed to come from within. So again, everything starts in your mind. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Lex.
So the brother brought up earlier the Statue of Liberty, which again we have the biblical statue showing the daughter of Babylon, right? I'm sorry. I'm not. If people don't agree, they don't agree. And okay, so
no, it's all good. Finish your thought. Come on, you good?
I'm part of the GOCC. I used to call in on the radio shows, and I had we had great conversations like this. When Sophia Stewart was interviewed with them, I got to talk to her. And so I think I have an understanding that I didn't have then. Because remember, when they exited, they went back in to try to save other people. Again, it's not like this paperwork becomes a shield. It's just a key to break the seal. And with that seal comes the world. Again, once you are out of their sight, you can do anything that you want. See, I think people have, the way I hear it, people are rebuttaling as if this piece of paper or that piece of paper is going. All it does is cut you out of the system. That you can go to the border guard and say, I'm not a citizen, and be released. I have no idea what other people think that the paperwork really does. but that's all it does. All it does is it pulls the plug on your pod, and you get flushed out. And if Nebuchadnezzar isn't there to pick you up, then like me, just keep fucking walking. This isn't like the paperwork's going to turn into a saucer and take me here. And I'm not mocking anybody. It's just
no. It's all good.
I want to stab at people's when a date goes bad, it's because of intentions, right, or preconceived, blah 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 blah, right? So that's what I want to break. I want to stab the balloon of what the paperwork means. No, you structure yourself like a fucking lawyer so you can walk past the gate. That's all we're doing. Because what this Jesus, and I'm not mocking anybody. I'm mocking besides the church that created this, our church that was taken over. This Jesus character is saying that the lawyers are evil because they've sealed us away because they don't teach Roman civics anymore. What we're doing in these phone conversations is we're learning about Roman civics and we're debating Roman civics, which is actually fucking healthy, and we're actually having the history books read to us to let us know we did this to ourselves. It's not like I had some
right.
evidence besides fucking pictures on Google in museums.
Right.
I can't fucking walk.
Right.
And I'm not fired up. This is fucking exciting.
Yeah, I do have to say.
Yeah.
I do have to say, and that this may sound weird to some, but this is actually a healthy conversation
right.
because I purposely like to have these different views because I understand for me that all of this has to be brought forth for folks to walk their journey. So we're going to give last words. Damn, this was a good show today. So, Brother Lex, you have any last words for the family?
Family, if in the Harvard book it says that you are the Indian, and that's the word they write, I ain't arguing. If nigga says the American Indian, if the Webster's Dictionary here says the American, you get what I'm saying. If their books,
right,
or what we consider their books, which are actually our books, right, say that, then think about all these people that are in all these high places sitting there saying, we're African. Right? You've got to understand they're being paid to they have access to these books.
They do.
The scholars that wrote these books, this has only been, an insurrection has only happened for 100 years.
I would agree with you on that.
So what's the guy with the afro from Harvard or one of those universities out there?
Cornell West, okay. I think. Yeah.
Highly intelligent man ain't never come across none of this information. People, you're being
right.
fucking
Bullshit.
played.
I agree. They full of shit. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's my message to everybody. Understand, it is the system, and there's a way out. I can't.
Right.
I didn't fucking agree 2 years ago. I said, I don't want to waste my fucking time sitting there watching fucking law video, blah, 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 blah. Here's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Now I saw each piece that each fucking law teacher online taught is their package is fuckery. It's to keep inside the system. But if you take this piece, it gets you the exit. That's all I'm trying to show you, the exit.
All right.
Right, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you good.
Thanks,
you good. Indeed, brother, indeed. Sis Sandra, you have any last words for the family?
Well, you know what? I read those law books, and I've read a lot of people's opinions of a lot of things. And since these are our books that they use against us, we need to learn how to use those books against them. That's where I am with you, Brother Lex, on that, because that is how they took over us. So, I mean, it just stands to reason if somebody's going to cast a spell on you, you need to cast it back on them.
All right, sis. All right. Indeed, indeed. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
Yeah. The system has to go. But the system goes. You ain't got to figure out how to get out of something that don't exist. Period. I mean, it was ours, okay? It was a mistake. It was ours, but it was forced on us here. Now, what some melanated person wrote someplace else is from a whole different bloodline. Ain't got shit to do with me. Whatever contract he in or whatever charters they running, that's to benefit them. I want it gone. It has no purpose here. Period. I've always said that it's always been melanated people in power.
Yeah.
That's the true
we've
power.
We've been consistent on that, yeah.
So just because you melanated don't mean you get a pass. And it don't mean we all the same damn people. That's why everything is about bloodline. The Bible speaks of bloodlines. The Quran speaks of bloodline. Whatever religious text you want to talk about bloodlines. Now, unless you can directly trace your DNA and bloodline back to the people in those books, that ain't your covenant.
But I've already displayed publicly that my DNA comes from Europe, from Lord Lay. So that, no offense, that challenge has been met.
Indeed.
I said unless you can.
Right.
I didn't say nobody couldn't. I said unless you can.
You can, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to give my last word. Indeed, Brother Sean, indeed. My last words to the family, first of all, thank you all very much for being with us on this journey. Shout out to the chat room. Shout out to Brother 832. Shout out to Brother 636. Shout out to my millennial sister out in Nevada. All of your input is very, very much appreciated. I truly like this conversation. I think these conversations need to be had. They're being had for a very, very deep purpose. So we're going to pick back up next week. I love you all very much. Thank you to my co-host. Thank you, Brother Lex. We're going to rock out. We're going to get cut off in 2 minutes. I'm going to play Donny Hathaway's Someday We'll All Be Free. So peace and love to you.